Oh yeah, look at me. Look at me, dude. I'm a professional.
Hey, there you go.
There we go. Can you guys see and hear us okay? Everything look good? Crispy?
Yep. Nika says his computer forced an update, so he'll be in 1 second.
Cool, cool.
Cool. Do you want to do our intro?
Yeah, let's make sure they can hear us okay though. Shotokan, help me out here, bro. Can you see us? Hear us? Audio levels sound good?
Cool.
Alright, gave us a thumbs up. So yeah, welcome to the first episode of our podcast, the Lance and Ray podcast. We definitely got to kind of come up with a better name than that. I get top billing though. I got second on the bill. It's the most important thing to remember.
I don't think that's how it works.
I am your host, Ray, aka Wax, with my co-host and protege here, Lance.
Protege. Amazing.
Also known as the worst Chun-Li player in America.
Yeah, yeah.
So, we're going to have Nica K.O joining us here in a second. Going to kind of go into the history of Nica, how long he's been playing, how he, picked up the game, learned it, and then kind of go into some other topics as well. So, at the very end, we're going to kind of take some questions as well for Nica. So if you guys have anything you want to ask him, feel free to ask away in the chat. And, yeah, we'll get this thing kicked off. So this is the first episode. I'm also going to start trying to stream some Fightcade throughout the week as well. And then I'm working on getting the stream set up for my cabs. So hopefully start streaming some cab sessions, at least like maybe once a week or something like that, along with some Fightcade sessions. And then, yeah, just streaming some random podcasts and shit talk throughout the week. So, Lance, you got anything to add to that?
Nope, all sounds good. Good work.
All sounds good, yeah. Especially with you being second fiddle to me and my protege, and you being a bad player. Yeah.
You are here to, get the podcast started. I am here to win the games. So we each have our roles.
No, negative. I run the podcast and I win the games,
Nice. And you get the girl.
How about you both run the podcast?
Nope.
And you both win the games.
Nope.
So just giving my laptop a couple of minutes to reboot because I didn't want to run too late. So.
No, you're good. You're good. So it looks like everything's going good on Twitch right now. So we got a couple viewers already. So, yeah. Sonny says run the podcast. You know I run this, Sonny. You know I run this. Lance has done exactly 0 to help out putting this thing together.
I told you to give Chun-Li cowboy boots and a cowboy hat.
That's literally the only advice you gave me.
And that was the best piece of advice.
Perfect marketing tool there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very powerful. Very powerful.
After this podcast, we have to check Rule 34 for Cowboy Chun-Li, see if there's an uptick.
I don't know what that is, but I feel like it's some degenerate internet shit that I
If I tell you what it is, you'll have to look it up yourself, Ray.
I think I'm good, Lance. I don't think I want to look up anything you share with me on the internet, so. Hey. Colin says Lone Star Strike. That's not a bad name. It's not a bad name.
Not bad.
Who said that, Collins?
Yeah, Colin. I actually can't fit the headphones over my cowboy hat, or I'd probably be wearing it. I do have a Texas hat on, though, as you can see. Clean.
Yeah, and Texas in the World Series, too.
Yup, 1-1.
I'm rooting for Texas for obvious reasons.
We know you're an honorary Texan, like Lloyd. We adopted you after your couple sessions you had with us.
Yeah, after the qualifiers.
Yup. All right, you're a part of us now. We took you to Texas Roadhouse, dude. I mean.
Oh yeah, there's that too. Yeah.
That's as Texas as it gets, right there. You ate the roll.
They have one of those
right
in. Oh no, not like the legit ones. I don't think we've been there yet. As in, like you guys taking.
Yeah. We got to what's that place in Dallas that's started in Austin, but now is a Dallas branch. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, the barbecue chain.
Yeah. Is it even a chain?
I mean, not chain, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's their second location. Terry Black's, baby.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I gotta go to Terry Black's next time.
Terry Black's pretty good.
Or Hurtado's? Yeah. Go to Hurtado's.
I did like Texas Roadhouse though. That's I guess is that something that's all over too?
I don't know.
Yeah. I think they're chains in the South. So.
I feel like I had it in Alaska before, so I feel
Yeah.
like it's everywhere. But
Yeah.
it's got Texas in the name.
Jace was so pissed we took you to Texas Roadhouse, by the way. The Houston player. It's
He's
like,
trying to fucking sell us on like, oh, Houston is this culinary capital of the United States. Like, no, I just don't fucking believe that.
well, like in
Oh my
Houston, dude,
God.
it's like everything's 50 minutes away from each other. So like last time we went there, he's like, let's go to this ramen place or whatever, and I'm like, all right, it's like 55 minutes, and I'm like, it's in the same fucking city. How is it 55 minutes away? Like, this is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Sonny says Houston restaurants go crazy. Well, why don't you stay in Houston then, Sonny?
Yeah, stay.
We don't want you back
Stay.
in Dallas.
H-Town. Stay in H-Town, Sonny.
Oh shit.
Oh, we got Cedric in the chat. Max, hell yeah. When's the next time you're coming to Dallas, Lloyd? Do you know?
I haven't decided yet. I was thinking sometime in December, but I'm still trying to figure out the logistics of it all.
Cool. Let me know.
Yeah.
We got 2 cabs now. I don't even think you've been here since I got the second cab, have you?
No. Only the one.
Yup.
The pristine one, obviously.
2 cabs.
Another good one.
Ho hum.
Yeah, the good one is whatever Lance is playing on and winning on. Like, oh, this cab's
It's
better
just,
than this
my
one.
cab is objectively the good one.
It's-
The other
this-
cab fucking doesn't have a door that closes correctly. You gotta tape it shut. How is that the good one?
I feel like every Versus City has some jank door to it at this point. Like,
Not mine. Mine, I deliver to you, pristine condition.
there's a hole in the side.
Oh, that's not my fault. That's not my fault.
The sound doesn't work either. That's on occasion.
That's the board's fault.
On occasion. So we gotta swap that board
It's the
out.
board's fault.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he does have the one with the fucked up RAM and the color glitches too. Yeah.
It's all garbage. This is not true.
The PAL mod. Third
The
trick
PAL
cab.
mod?
Oh yeah. They had that in Game Newton too.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So this.
Where
What's up?
No, I was gonna say they had that in Game Newton where like the pixels on Dudley stage were like it would get all distorted, and it was like in the middle of the game like a super would activate,
Yeah.
and then Gavin was playing like one of the Japanese players, and it would just like fluctuate in the middle of the game. He's like, "What the hell is that?" And I have footage of it too. It was pretty funny.
This may be a hot take, but nobody has any good PAL mods. All their colors are trash.
No, I agree.
All the colors are trash. Some of you guys
Yeah.
posting these Twitter clips, I'm like, Jesus Christ, boys, really? You're playing with that? Like, you're gonna pick that over the stock colors? Okay.
You know when you watch someone like you spectate them on Fightcade, you can see their PAL mod. You can see player two's
Like
PAL mod
initially.
for one game. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're always fucking terrible. No
Okay.
good PAL mods.
I will say that the Elena stage changes.
Yeah, those are good.
I
Yeah,
fuck with
yeah.
that. I think everyone can get on board for the Elena stage changes, but
I think that's the only one that you should probably PAL mod. I
Yeah,
don't know if there's any other stage that you have to.
perfect, right? You guys.
I mean, maybe Chun stage.
Yeah, that one's kind of bad. It needs better music too. They should just change everything about it.
But not the character, of course.
No, she needs
course
buffs
not.
if you need that. I was thinking of giving her a Zenpo. That would probably, that'd be nice. Zenpo, and then she like Kara Zenpo, the same way she Kara throws, and then she could have EX slashes.
Jesus
Seems
Christ,
fair.
imagine that.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
great. Maybe
Kara
Lance,
Zenpo with Chun-Li.
maybe Lance can win a couple games with that, or you know,
Maybe Jazzy champion next year.
his pal mod Chun Li. Oh man. Lance wants to beats in my head to meets in my head to reflect this mental state.
Yeah.
Big facts, dude.
Alright, let's try to do this.
Yeah, I just gotta get I think Johnny's gonna come out in the next couple weeks and get my cab set up for streaming. So I have the like
Nice.
equipment for it. I just gotta figure out what the hell I'm doing. So.
Is it like high def like stuff?
Oh
Like,
no, it's not. It's not HDMI. I think it's just Splitfire. I think. Like.
Oh, okay.
There's somebody local here that offered to HDMI mod my board, but like, I'm terrified. Like very scared. They're too expensive to fuck up, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think initially that was the biggest thing. Like everyone was afraid to connect streaming equipment to their cast just because of the fact that it can possibly or potentially mess up the board. But yeah,
Special guest right here,
Dog. What's your dog's name, Lance?
Cleo.
Cleo. Oh, very nice. Very
Cleo.
nice.
That's Anubis poking his head in the back.
I'm just checking it out.
Yeah. Well, he's mad that I picked her up. If she gets any kind of attention, he gets very jealous.
Yep.
all right. Maybe at like the halfway point, my computer will actually update.
All good. All good.
Yeah.
So yeah. Just let me know if you're coming down next month. I'll get everyone out for games. So we pretty much play here in Arcade now. Like Arcade's the other venue that's in Fort Worth.
Arcade, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been seeing the stream from there. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a Versus City and then like a set of Astros as well. And they stream on occasion. So yeah, very good
Yeah.
venue. It's like the fucking Foot Clan from like TMT, dude. Just graffiti
And
shit everywhere. What's up?
that's like next to well, not next to, but I guess that's close by what is it,
Free Play Arlington.
replay, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like 10 minutes or so. It's in the area though. Like that's not too bad. Then it's actually Cedric, who's actually like a third strike player, runs that venue too. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's actually ran kind of by the community.
Yeah. We need that from you,
Yeah.
from everyone. That's why you have your own cabs and they have their own cabs down there too. So
Yep. I'm hoping we can get a the auto qual here in DFW this year. I think that would be pretty sick to run it at Arcade. It's like he's got 2 cabs. I can take my 2 cabs, and I feel like 4 cabs is more than enough to run an auto qualifier. So
but the last qualifier we had what, like 3 cabs?
yeah, Game of Dreams. Yeah,
Yeah.
those cabs were really nice. It's just playing on the like side by side is a little awkward. It's like
Yeah.
you got to get like you definitely got to get some reps in to get used to it before you actually start playing. So, but the quality of the cabs are like very good. It's some of the
Pristine, yeah.
best cabs I've played on.
Better than Lance's cab.
Yeah, definitely,
Oh.
easily.
Nothing better. Nothing better.
Did you go to the Austin Jazzy finale, Nica, or no?
The Austin one? No.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I've only been to the first and third one.
Okay. Yeah.
Every other year. Yeah,
So you're coming out this year then, right?
it's
Okay,
coming. It's
yeah.
becoming a trend. Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems it.
Skips a year.
Well, we'll see about what is it, next year, I guess, because what, 2024? Yeah.
Yeah. Aki last year in Denver, that was awesome. Very, very, very good event. Like the owners there took care of us. Like, you know, if anything messed up, they were on top of it. I think the owner plays as well.
Yeah.
The staff was super friendly. We had our own section for like Jazzy. It wasn't like at Free Play when we had to, you know, fucking play the finals in the middle of Timmy's birthday. Like it was like we had like our own section that was sectioned off. It was really good. They had giant projectors. Like, yeah, it was.
I guess the only like, I guess, criticism would probably be like the side by side for the top.
Yeah, I don't like
what is
that
it,
either.
top 8?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that.
But I guess they'll probably fix it next year or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even then, all they really have to do is just make the caps face each other, like head to head. Like
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I heard about the venue too, that how it had like, how many cabs did they have?
I think they had 8 or 9 like legitimate like head to heads, and then they
Like
had,
like actual setups, right? Like as in like
like you could play the tournament on, and then they had a bunch of like Vuelixes and stuff that had third trick on, but people would just kind of dick around on those. Like none of the tournament matches or anything was played on those, but yeah, Colin, you need to come this year, dude. Quit fucking off. So,
sell my soul.
Yeah, I remember at the Jazzy finale at Free Play, like they still had some of the tables like reserved for family parties and shit.
yeah,
Like I was sitting at one of the tables and like someone came up to me and was like, "Hey, are you part of the Dolan family?" I was like, "You know the fuck I am? Sit on the floor." Shut the fuck up. Playing in top 8, asshole.
Well, even then, I was like sitting with Caesar, and Caesar like had his head down, and they like came by and made like a big deal about it. Like you could not put your head down in here.
Very
Are you
Yeah,
serious?
he's like, dude, I've been playing for like 2 days. I'm just trying to get a little bit of rest. Like, no, you cannot do that here. You need to take that outside. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
What times were these? I mean, I was like sitting in like one booth I sat in, and then another table I sat at, and it was like no one bugged me. But
yeah, this was finals day. Yeah, like grand finals day. Yeah.
wow,
It was during top 16. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were like, yeah, they told me to
damn,
get up off the table. I was like,
Yeah.
jeez, Timmy must have been that important.
like, do you know who I am?
Yeah.
Do you know who I am?
Like, that's big
You-
nasty
You're,
right
you're
there.
not, you're not Typhoon Tim, that's for sure.
Luckily, he wasn't at that finale. Luckily, he wasn't there.
Lance's run would have been done real quick.
The only man who could stop me.
I guess in terms of finals, like final locations,
Yeah.
because you guys, well, Lance, you went to the first one, right? You've been to all of them?
Yeah, with all four.
Yeah. But I guess in terms of like the location wise, which would you guys say is probably like the best one? I mean, obviously Dallas fits you guys the most,
Yeah.
but if it was outside of Dallas, where would you prefer? Like in terms of location, not necessarily like
location.
yeah, like the venue. But like in terms of like the state wise, you know?
Oh, I'd say Colorado again, man. Like I had an amazing time last year. Like the venue
shit
is
is so
sick.
expensive there, though.
I mean, yeah.
Everything in Denver's so expensive.
So I mean, when you take a
Imagine
look,
New York.
when you take a look at like third strike scenes, right? Like for the U.S., if you're gonna run like a pure arcade tournament, right? Like West Coast, they have Barcade and Dons. Like that's not feasible to run a jazzy event at. Here in Texas, we have Free Play, which we figured out how that went. TGL is no longer in business. They bought one of their cabs. UFO, not feasible, way too small. Game of Dreams, good venue, way too small. So South is done. And you take East Coast, like what you have, like Next Level. I don't think that's feasible. You go there.
No, Next Level we don't use Next Level.
And then like Carolina, like I don't know what their stuff looks like, but I wouldn't imagine it could support. So
it's
like
pretty small.
Yeah, so
it's small too. Yeah.
So I'd say you'd have to go Aki, just because like even then like we're sectioned off, like we don't have to interact with like the normal people whatsoever. Like there's just a fighting game portion of the venue that's just nothing but head to head. So yeah, Aki when they announced that this year, I was like, oh, of course, yeah, makes sense. Like,
well, Brooklyn Arcade, it's a great venue, but I think for the quantity of players, it's a little too reserved for that quantity of players. Like it would be perfect if it was a bigger space, but yeah, it's a little too small.
And then flights to Denver is usually pretty cheap, just because it's like a hub city or something like that. Like I think I booked my flight for like $120 or something like that. It's very cheap. So yeah.
Wasn't there like hotels like right by the venue too?
Yeah, they had one, but that one was pretty pricey. We ended up just getting a B&B like 10 minutes away. With like all of the DFW squad. I think there was like 10 of us in that B&B, but yeah, there's a hotel like within walking distance. So
okay.
Yeah, it was a good venue, and there's a lot of like places to walk and eat within walking distance too. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and a full bar. I mean, so they were like super happy about us, which was like funny because like Free Play was bitching about us.
It was like the opposite, yeah.
Yeah, they were like super excited to have us there, and we were like yeah, you guys sold us out as these beers, like that's awesome, like blah blah, like
And that's the funny thing. It's like with Free Play, you would think that they would be happy that you guys are like selling out the alcohol and everything, but
no, they're pissed. They're pissed. Like,
wow.
We don't have the staff to support this. I was like, oh, really? You didn't know we were coming with like 100+ Third Strike players? No one told you guys that? Like, you didn't like that last year?
Did you get the memo?
So.
Yeah, Colin, there's a few Hyatts close by. I stayed in one.
Yeah.
Because I'm all about the points, and Hyatt's the best like points.
It's funny.
Yeah.
They only knew about 8 months in advance.
Yeah, so Aki, I think if you go this year, like, yeah, you're gonna have a good time. Like, cabs are good, venue's good, like location's good. Like, I'm stoked to have it there this year. So hopefully I can qualify. That would be pretty cool.
Well, we'll see.
Maybe I don't.
I think
I get carried away.
What was the closest that you came, Ray?
So this year or this previous year, if I wouldn't have got drunk and tried to play Alex at two of the events,
What?
I probably would have I probably would have
He's so
qualified.
stupid. He's so dumb.
I missed by like a couple of points. Like if I would have like placed top 8 at like two of those events, I would have probably qualified. But you know, you got a couple of beers and you think you're an Alex player. You know, it's no big deal.
Yeah, you think it enhances your play?
It's because you thought you don't have a chance to get in, right? You're like, oh, Lance and Yuki will qualify if anyone does from Dallas.
Yeah,
But
I didn't
Texas
realize
is
how
really
many.
broken for points in Jazzy's. Like we just have like the most players.
Well, I didn't realize how
overall.
many points I'd get from Texas Showdown either. Like, because
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
I got
that's
a
a
shit
big-
ton from
That
Texas
was a big
Showdown,
tournament.
and
Yeah.
then like after I did well at Texas Showdown, I was like, oh, like I'm doing the math on this. Oh, I'm an idiot. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have picked Alex. So
You know,
Oops.
you can do the same at Frosty this year. If you get really like top 4 at Frosty, probably get a good chunk of points.
yeah, maybe Frosty's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good time. So
Oh yeah, that's true. There are going to be online events for this year.
yeah, the online
Oh.
event. That's definitely a
Oh
topic.
yeah, let's add that to our talking points list. We
yeah.
can talk about the online Jazzy events.
Do we want to go ahead and start with that before? Like, go ahead and get that out of the
My
way.
Wait,
my computer is gonna be good in like 10 minutes, I would hope.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so okay, so we can actually start with that, and then
Yeah.
yeah. But I guess for what is it, the online events, right, for Jazzy, because they announced it,
Yeah.
and they have I didn't see if any like new details came out about it, but I saw like the guys at Stupid Strike, they announced that they were doing something, and then Riz announced that he was doing something with the Super Lore Boys thing.
Oh, so
Okay.
it's not just like one online qualifier. Is it like a series of tournaments? Like,
What I'm thinking is maybe they're doing it like ranking battles or something like that, or like a points tournament.
okay.
Yeah, I figured it would be like multiple events for points, like Colin says. So
I have my thoughts, but I'll let you go first.
Okay, yeah. Why don't you guys share your thoughts on that? Tell me what you think.
Yeah.
no, you go first, right?
So if it's just one online event, I'm cool with that. Like, I think it's fine. I think Fightcade player base has like a big enough base to where that's okay. Like
Like an
and
auto
I-
qualifier kind
yeah,
of
if
thing.
it's just one auto qualifier, like I could see that. But like, I think when you host like monthly, I don't know. I feel like connections and everything. Like it's too many variables. Like when it comes into it, I still feel like when it comes to having one auto qualifier, I still feel a strong player is gonna win it. Like you, a Tenren, Kang, something like that.
Tenren's not going to enter an online tournament.
Who?
Tenren's not going to enter a tournament, period. So you can just take him out of the
Tenren's online
conversation.
like constantly, dude.
When have you ever seen him in a tournament outside of that one July tournament we did 3 years ago? Name in the last 15 years.
But he doesn't have
Co-op
to
cup?
leave his house.
Yeah, Co-op Cup. Co-op Cup, our July tourney. And then you can see like 15-year-old footage of him like playing Pyro Lee in like 2004.
I don't even. Was there footage of that?
I think I saw something like 10 years ago.
I've ever
Yeah.
seen footage of him at like Boiler. I think like playing like Pyro.
Yeah, he played at Boiler for sure.
But
But
anyway, yeah, I don't know about having like monthly online. I think it gets kind of muddy there, and like
Mm.
I think the beauty of Jazzy is to support your local scenes and surrounding scenes, right? Like going and playing offline, meeting people, like getting ready for the finale. I don't feel like online hinders. I don't know. I guess it's a dick thing, an elitist thing for me to say, but like I just don't like it. I just don't like it. I like playing offline. Online's cool. I get it. I play online a shit ton, but like I don't know. I'd rather just go play offline somewhere. I'm gonna try to travel to like Austin, Houston, and majors and stuff to get points, but it just feels lazy to sit at home and play, dude. I don't know. What are your
well,
thoughts?
Lance, what do you think?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I mostly like it, I think. I do think the connection questions are valid, and it depends on who plays, right? Okay, so if, like, Nika and Kang and Neiman play in these tournaments, they're expected to win, right? Like, online, for the most part, no one's really consistently beating these guys. Offline, it's just, it's the same. Like, those are very high-level players. So if those 3 guys duke it out in each one of these monthlies, then you can basically say, like, okay, well, it turned out how it's supposed to. If they're not, like if Kang's like, I'm not going, I'm a dad, and maybe
Yeah.
Nika's got stuff going on, he's not playing in it. Neiman's playing Street Fighter 6. That's when it becomes a little more dicey, I think, because then like the field's a little more wide open, and that's when the connection issues are gonna show up, right? So like, that's when you
That
start
makes
seeing like,
sense.
okay, like Colin versus Dagger G in like, top four, and like, it has points implications, and it's like the connection's fucking unplayable, right? And I'm not gonna like, like list out everyone with a shitty connection, but we all play on Fightcade. We know there's a few players who are like good players that have terrible internet. And so that will definitely that'll have some implications on points for sure. I think it's worth trying. I think it's
Mhm.
like fine. Let's see how it goes. Like, at this point, I'm just gonna hazard a guess. 95% of Third Strike in America is played online, right? It's less
Mhm.
common to play offline. Like you have to have a local scene, and even if you have a local scene, you're probably still playing online. So for most players, online is a real game, right? It's the main game, and so you might as well cater to that a little bit and just say, okay, let's give these guys an opportunity to play, get some
Mm.
points, different avenues. Like maybe you can't make it to your local scene, you don't have a local scene. So yeah, I'm supportive of it, but yeah, I for sure we're going to see some lag issues. There's going to be some salty people who are going to be like, I missed getting the points I need to get in because this guy has horrible internet, cannot see shit. That's going to happen for sure. So that'll be entertaining if nothing else. We'll have to see.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, from so for starters, I when I first heard about it, I was supportive of it the first time. Like when I first realized how good Fightcade was, I was like, okay, maybe Jazzy should implement it. Um, Probably not from the beginning, not from its inception, but from at least the second one. Just given the fact that COVID was around during that time too, you know. But with the way that the landscape is now in terms of it's like you said, the way that everyone is playing, even here in New York, it's like it's hard enough to get all the New York guys to come out, you know. And you have players like you have Collins who's like up north, and it would be difficult for him to come out to an auto qualifier. And then a player like say like Resolve who lives further away from I think from SoCal. He lives a little bit further north from what I remember. Um, so it's like it kind of gives access to all those other players who have that sort of potential to win, but then they aren't able to come out. So it's like, yeah, you know, you have lag issues and everything like that. But from what I've seen, I mean, what was the worst connection that you guys have played in America?
Oh man, that's you're gonna put me on
Okay.
the spot here.
I think
No, you could be honest about it. I mean, because if it's me, you tell me.
so. I don't
No,
know if
no,
this
it's not
is
you. It's not you.
like a connection issue, but it's a character issue, like Remy players. I don't know what you guys are
Sure,
doing,
yeah,
but
Remy players with bad internet, which is like
like
all of them.
all Remy players have just dog water connections. I don't know what you guys are doing, if that's like a super art you're picking or something when you select the
Yeah.
character, but it's like all Remy players dog shit connections. I don't know.
So
Uh,
I think another thing too, it's probably based on the level too, because if it's like someone like Kang who's like the king of online third strike, then you're going to be comfortable in that type of situation.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
going to be comfortable in that type of situation dealing with lag. But I think with the concept that it is online play,
mhm.
if you're going to enter something like that, you're sort of signing a waiver saying, okay, I know what I'm getting myself into.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I think it's good to open that up to everyone else, but then yeah, the connection issues could be a problem. But maybe it's good that it's based on points. It's based on overall points. You
Mm.
know,
Yeah,
the
I
the
agree. For sure.
so I think like the more consistent placeholders will make it on top, and of course, I I don't think Dagger G or any Remy players. All right, let me just say it. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say that maybe Dagger G is gonna win them all, but there you have Big Game James, um, you have Resolve who plays online, maybe even Canada players. That was one thing that I was thinking about too. That maybe it opens it up to Canadian players too. So it's a wide field. So I think it's more of a competition
Yeah, I
to
mean,
Yeah.
get that spot.
I think the best players are gonna win regardless. Like,
Yeah,
it really is at the end of the day. Like, I mean, like people talk shit on like Exodus, but like, oh, you just play online. You're an online player now, and he like came out won Jazzy. Like, it fucking, he did his thing. That's cool. Like, but me, it's like fuck, man. I'm gonna like travel to all these scenes, these tournaments, and then like I don't know. I don't want to call them lazy fucks, but I guess I will. These lazy fucks just sitting at home playing on Fightcade, getting points. I got to spend my gas
Sure.
money, my travel, everything to go play on like authentic arcade hardware, whereas like someone else is just sitting at home booting up Fightcade and playing, which I'm
You
gonna
know,
do too. I'm gonna do too because I'm gonna try to get the points. But
yeah,
yeah,
and that's a way to do it too. You can use it as like a redundancy tool, you know?
mm,
Maybe if like you can't make it out to too many events, or if you make it out to like one major and then not do, because think of think of Caesar.
mm,
You know, that year was it Jazzy 3. He went to all of the qualifiers
mm.
and he didn't win
Oh,
any of them.
my heart, dude.
And and
That
then
was a sad year.
That was
and
rough,
then
dude.
the last chance qualifiers, same thing. And it's like, man, he deserves to be in top 16 just based on that alone.
Yum,
You know, like how do you get like top placement in all those tournaments
yum,
and not make it? You know, it was I would have been frustrated as hell, but
yum.
you know, that's one of those things where he can use the online aspect as like a redundancy tool. So I
Yeah.
think it's not bad.
I think something that could be helpful is like, okay, so we used to have these online tournaments with Rove. You guys remember? I don't know if you guys remember Rove.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of his rules was because he would do these streams and these online tournaments and like Ranbats, and one of his rules is like you can play whatever character, whatever super, everything goes, but you're not allowed to complain. You're not allowed, like the internet
Yeah.
will be dog shit, and it's okay. You're just not allowed to complain. That's one of the rules. So if you lose and the connection's totally unplayable, sorry about your damn luck. But
Yeah.
that's how
Yeah.
it is. Because yeah, like not only is like people have bad internet, right? But also there's routing issues, right? So it might
Mhm.
be this guy's internet is fine if he's playing
Mm,
someone in certain areas, but like okay, the routing from Texas to Pacific Northwest, for example, just might be terrible, and there's no way to avoid that. So at the end of the day, you just have to accept it. You have to just be like, okay, I'm playing in an online tournament. I'm going in knowing that if there's a couple players to run into, I just won't be able to see some stuff, and I'm just gonna make peace with the results of the results, and just try my best. You know.
Make peace with Macaroni Frog.
dude, everybody hates Frog, dude. Oh my god, I love Frog. That's my dude.
I mean
I like
he's
him.
he's funny. I mean I
Yeah.
like him too, but it's like when I play him,
Oh, I
I
get
get
tilted so bad. Tilted.
I get frustrated even when I
Yeah.
win. That's
Yeah,
how
yeah.
bad it is.
Yeah.
I then Frog 2 is always like first to 20. I'm like, bro, I don't want to play you 20 games. I don't want to do that, dude. You're gonna ruin my whole fucking day right now. So
Like I would be talking crap to EXO in the chat, and I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna play right, like we're gonna play right now, and I'm waiting for a Kang to challenge me. Next thing you know, you see Mario challenge you, and I'm like, what the hell? You know I'm challenging that I'm
yeah.
waiting for Kang, but but he does that.
I told him I
Uh,
was like, I feel like your internet connection runs through your toilet, and just periodically someone in your apartment is fucking flushing the toilet. Every time you jump in, lag spike. There's someone flush the toilet.
Max, I'm banning you from the online tournaments. By the way, you're 30 minutes down the road from me, and your connection's terrible. Like I can't do it. I can't
Everyone's gonna be
imagine.
complaining about Max.
We're not gonna put that on the rest of the nation, dude. Like we're not gonna do that.
We're just making an executive decision as
You're
the
not allowed to enter, dude. You're not allowed to
as
enter.
the figures of the Dallas scene. We're just making a call. Like Max is banned.
Oh, 20 minutes away. My apologies.
Police your
My
own.
apologies. So yeah. So I don't know.
like
I would feel better with it just being like one big auto qualifier versus
yeah,
like monthly Rambats. I think I don't know. That's
I
just me.
think I think kind of the way that maybe if they did it something like similar to the what is it, the Stupid Summit, the
Mhm,
tournament that the bigger tournament that the guys ran. It
mhm,
was literally like a 2-day event where they had like the block stages on the first day, and then the next day they had the top, the actual top 16.
mhm,
So I think maybe if they did something like that, that would be nice too. Like make sure these guys work for that tournament placing first,
mhm.
and then have like a one day where they determine the seeding or something like that, and then the next day, next day they play it out and for the qualifier. But yeah, I mean, whichever way works best. I'm always of the opinion of, and Lance knows this. I'm always of the opinion of doing one and done, like for American formats these days. So yeah, maybe that segues into
Maybe maybe it would be cool to do something like that, so where like once you get to top eight, like top eight plays like a round robin, like
yeah,
and that way like if you have a bad connection with someone, it doesn't like It's not it.
That
It's
too.
not. It's
It
not
doesn't
it.
decide. Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't decide anything. That actually makes more sense too. Yeah.
Yeah, like you just do a round robin amongst top eight, and that way it's like, okay, well, I had a horrible connection with this person, but like the next four was pretty decent, and I did well. Like, I think that could
Yeah.
possibly work. I'd be fine with that. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's appealing about the idea of online monthlies and qualifiers is if people get into it and they're invested in it, then the potential is that online just has a lot of firepower, right? It's like all the scenes combined. You
Yeah.
can easily field a tournament, just a monthly, right? A monthly that involves Kang, Nika, Neiman,
Oh,
me, James, who else? Like
so
other Resolve. Like you can just like name all the big names
come
of
to think
Fightcade.
about that though, okay, so Jazzy is usually banked off number of entrants, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
So when it comes to online, let's say they get a 100-man online bracket,
Yeah.
are they just fucking rolling in the points at that point for like
They might have
getting
to
top
scale
eight
it.
in an online tournament? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
what?
they
Like,
might have to scale it, but then again, like they'll be winning. Like, okay, in theory, if everyone buys into it and like all the top players are in these brackets, then you almost deserve to get a lot of points for winning them, right? Like, if there's a 64-man bracket, and there's 16 fucking killers at the top, and they're all hard. If you win that one, don't you deserve a lot of points?
You know,
no,
sometimes
no,
that happen. It used
no.
to be like that actually back in the days where we would play on like maybe like GGPO or like the older ways to play online Third Strike. Like we used to have a lot of killers out there. Like Chi really used to play.
Mm-hmm.
Kang, Tenren, well, not Tenren, but Cruz used to play. We used to have a lot of players who were really good back then, and they always came out and they showed up. And it's like that's the type of quality that will really. I feel like that type of quality inspires the scene more so than just the quantity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I've always been a big proponent of like, okay, it's not necessarily elitist. It's more so like the fittest. You know, like whoever is the most consistent, whoever is the most higher level at that point, then show your stuff. You know, so I think it's just a matter of showing that type of quality, and that way more players can get inspired. Because I bet you, if I was to ask Resolve how he got started playing, mind you, this guy's he's still like what, a teenager?
Yeah, like
He's like
19, I
19 or
think.
20 or something.
19?
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. Who out of all of us were that good when we were 19?
I'm still not
You
that
know?
good, bro.
Yeah,
It's like I have never and will never be that good.
yeah. I was never that. Not even. I was never that good when I was 19. So it's like, if you were to ask him, what inspired you to play, or like what inspired any good player to play, it's the high quality. It's the high quality matches. You know, it inspires those people to get in there and practice those combos or practice those setups. So I think showcasing that more is a lot more than just having the quantity. So, and that's my thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it's worth a try. I like that they're trying it. Something different. Let's see how it goes. There will be
Yeah.
salts. There will be bad internet. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna enter him because like I may as well for points. Like, just try to scrounge up as many points as I possibly can. So
Our secret weapon, man. You're Yun on Fightcade. That Fightcade
they're
Yun
not ready
lag
yet, bro. They're
boost.
not ready.
They're not
There's,
ready.
there's
Fucking
gonna
full
be
strength
a
shoulders.
a Sunny versus Ray grand finals for the online qualifier.
Oh man.
Okay, speaking of Jazzy this year, so they just announced the season, right? And they're kind of already talking about that. What are we kind of looking at for the next year? So I know we have these events, we have the online events. In terms of up and coming players, you guys have your eyes on anyone? Who do you think is going to make a splash this year?
Mm,
I'll let Lloyd go first.
in terms of up and coming players who might make a splash, mm, I think I wanna say Resolve because he did come out this year.
Mm-hmm.
I know the performance wasn't up to what he wanted, but I think having that type of performance can push the player to work even harder to make the next one and really show what they're made of, because it's like the first time you have a big tournament like that, you're going to have jitters, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So then once you get more accustomed to it, it's like, okay, let me do what I know how to do now. Boa is actually an oral player. I forget from where he's from, but
Like southeast, like Georgia or something, Florida.
yeah,
One
but
of those.
his way of playing his way of playing Oro is like his setups really carry him a long way. So I'm really fearful of the fact like if he was to like use like the general matchup knowledge that's out there, he will be a lot more formidable, and that'll make it a lot more scary just because of his setups, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean he would be another one. I think if he was to join the online tournaments, then yeah, he would be one to look out for. But yeah, those are my two picks. Resolve and Boa.
Resolve and Boa. Okay, yeah, and Resolve this year. So of course he famously called out Yuki first round. It's a big balls play.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know about that.
That's definitely a big dick call right there. Like,
Yeah. He told me like, oh, I can just call out. He told me like, oh, and so okay, not to toot my own horn here,
Oh
you know.
my god, this fucking
But
guy.
two people told me this last year. They're like, oh yeah, like when you called out Issei at Jazzy 2, that like inspired me, and I was like, I want to do the same thing. Like just
You see what I mean?
yeah,
Look at that.
call out a big player. There's no pressure on you. You're not supposed to be Issei, or no one's supposed to beat Yuki, right? So if you lose to him, it's like, who cares? Pressure's on the other guy. Just go out there. You're gonna say, I want to play Yuki, and the crowd will go wild. And then you just go try your best. Well, that's cool.
More so than just like saying, "Oh, I want to play Yuki." No, you gotta say it with your big boy pants. You know?
Big boy pants.
Yeah, like when you said it, when you called me out at Jazzy 3, it's like I want to challenge you. That's how you gotta say it.
Oh yeah,
you
like
know,
to be fair though, I was sitting in the booth like, what a moron, dude! What a terrible fucking pick. Does he not want to win or what?
And then Lance is probably like second guessing himself, like, "Oh shit, what did I do?"
Okay, well, my thought process at the time was like, okay, am I gonna win? Like, am I the favorite to win at Jazzy? No. Okay, so it doesn't matter. So there's like in my mind, like everyone has their own idea, right, of like exactly where their level is and who they can beat, who they can lose to, who it could go either way. So you just have these people in your mind, and I'm thinking, okay, who are the people that are like really hard? Like I'm most likely gonna lose. It's like, okay, Issei, Yuki, Nika. And so let's just they're all lined up right there in a row. Let's just go through those guys, and then the rest of the tournament is easy.
So can we kind of talk about the way like the selection process works? I think, I don't know. To me, I don't really get it when it comes to like top 16. It's like, I feel like the people who want to auto qualifier should be the ones deciding who they get to play. To me, it doesn't really make sense to have someone who like qualifies on points like kind of dictate who they get to play first round, if that makes sense. Like,
I forget how that worked with the selection choice. Like, is that what they did? Like,
yeah, like I don't know.
Or did they randomize it?
And Katie's in the chat now, so maybe he can kind of like clarify. But I didn't quite understand it because it was like, oh, this person won a really stacked like auto qualifier tournament, but yet someone who like maybe got in on points was getting to like kind of call the shot of who they get to play. So I'm like,
so the difficulty is in picking the order, right? Like, so in theory, the best place to go in picking people is in the middle, right? That's when there's people on the board and you can pick from them, but they're not all filled up. So you want to go kind of like in the lower half of the middle. That's ideal. So balancing that is tricky. I think I would probably make the people.
Katie.
I would probably make the people who lost an LCQ. They should have to go on the board first, I would think.
Yeah. Like if you qualify to losers in LCQ, you should not be dictating who you play. But
right. I think they go at the back anyway. I think they're put at the end.
But to be fair, like most likely, I don't know. Last chance qualifier too is pretty fucking brutal.
Yeah,
there's.
Like, I mean, yeah, they're bigger. They're like harder than auto qualifiers often.
But I think you should incentivize people to go out to these big tournaments and win it. Like, cause like Caesar, for example, right? Like Caesar got second at a lot of the auto qualifiers, right? Like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's hard to win an auto qualifier. It's tough, dude. Like, there's a lot of killers there. Like, you're traveling. It's a big tournament. Like, I feel like if you win that, you should kind of get the, like, I don't know, recognition for it to, like, where you don't have to call someone out. You can make, like, you could pick, like, who you want to play at that point. So, I don't know. But it was kind of weird to me to seeing, like, other people, like, who maybe qualified on points get to pick who they wanted to play. I was like, that doesn't really make any sense to me, but...
Okay, I think the concept came from something similar to Co-op Cup, because I know they do that there, where they pick a number out of a hat or something like that, and then they, based on that number, that's who the selection is. But it's almost always last chance. The person who qualifies out of playoffs always chooses last. They're always, well, not chooses last because they have no choice, but they're always the last person on the board. So I think maybe something. I'm not sure if they did something like that. I forgot what it was like for the third one. But yeah, I mean, I think honestly, no matter which choice you have, it's gonna be tough regardless. I mean, I get that players want to choose like the easiest route. I mean, ho hum, yee. But
Yeah.
no, I mean it's all a matter of I guess how you're feeling that day. Because if you're feeling like Lance, you probably want to challenge the one of the strongest players there. You know, so
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's never worked out. It always works out. Like, that's what I learned these last 3 years is that no matter who I call, I kind of get the same
the same
placement every
treatment.
year. Yeah, like, okay, like I lost to Issei first year, or that was Jazzy 2, sorry. Then Jazzy 3, I lose to Nica first round. And then, like, oh, Jazzy 4, I was like, okay, I'm just going to, like, I'm going to, like, plan my path. I was like, okay, I think, like, I'll do better versus the Ken player, so I'll put myself on the Ken side. And then yeah, I just lose to Mommy first round. So no matter what,
Well,
the top 16 is just filled with people who are difficult. It's 2 out of 3, right? Anything can happen. I'm kind of the opinion just randomize it. Like
hmm
just be like, okay, there's no penalty or everyone got the top 16. They're all equal now. Just
yeah,
randomize it.
I would
Let
be
the
fine
cards
with
fall where they
that.
may.
I'd be fine with that too if you just did like a random number generator, like everyone pick a number and you got a spot on the board, like draw out of a hat, like
Oh, I just meant
yeah,
like randomize the like picking order, but you could randomize the players as well. I mean, either
yeah.
one would be fine, but. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
yeah.
what they're trying to do is tricky, right? Like they're trying to find the exact right order to
Hmm.
make it feel the most fair. And everyone kind of, I think, agrees that like the points qualifiers are like it's the least impressive route,
That's
and
what
so
I'm
you want
also
to
feeling too.
disincentivize the points thing.
Yeah.
But I
I
mean,
think
there's also like a lot of people who are got in on points, so there's only so much you can do to like work around that.
Hmm.
well, I think maybe have like based on not preference, but uh, I guess more so priority in the sense that if you qualify based on the auto qualifier, then you randomize your selection there. It's like how many auto qualifiers are there? Like what, 8,
6, I think.
6,
6, I
Yeah.
think, yeah,
Yeah.
something like
sounds
that.
right.
Okay, so yeah, so like those 6 players would pick a number out of a hat and they randomize themselves.
Hmm.
If Lance has 1, he goes first. I get 2. So on and so forth. But then after that, then the points players randomize themselves. And then after that, the last chance qualifiers. I mean, yeah, same idea. At least that way, it's based on priority. Because if you win an auto qualifier, you shouldn't necessarily be playing another person who auto qualified first round. It's like
Yeah.
saying me versus Issei first round. You know,
Sure.
so
That's a heavyweight championship fight right there, dude.
yeah, or
Yeah.
like me versus Yuki first round. It's like what the hell?
Yep.
That would be nice to watch for you guys, but then it would
Yeah.
suck for me and then Yuki. But something like that. I mean, we're spitballing here, so
um,
Yeah,
how,
yeah, for sure.
how would you guys
I
rank the hardness of like as far as qualifying goes? Would it be like auto qualifier, then LCQ, and then points?
I'd say LCQ is the hardest usually,
Yeah.
and then auto qualifier, and then second
yeah
place auto qualifier. Or sorry, the second place LCQ, and then points probably. That sounds right.
yeah definitely. The first Jazzy I qualified via last chance qualifier, and it was funny because I lost to you, Lance.
Oh yeah.
And when I lost that first 2 out of 3, I was like, oh fuck, I'm out of the tournament now. And then I thought about it. I was like, wait, that was only one set. I was like, okay, you're done now.
Yeah.
so, so then so then I was like, okay, readjusted myself at that point. But yeah, it definitely the last chance qualifier. There's more pressure. Obviously it's because it's last chance. So you're not really telling yourself like, okay, I have another opportunity to go to another tournament or win it anywhere else. This is your only one and only shot.
Yeah.
So I agree. Definitely last chance qualifier, then auto qual.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I remember. So that year. Okay, now that we're talking about that year, so that was the weirdest Jazzy format. I think that was the first season, and so
hmm
but now they've kind of like rectified it, in my opinion, where there's 3 pools, right, and 2 people can come out of every pool. So if you get, like pool screwed, right, then you're still okay. You can come out in second as long as you're one of the top 2 players. And if you're below one of the top 2 players in your pool, you can't really complain. You just did, you weren't supposed to make it. But that first year, yeah, like it was. There were 4 slots left, and there were 8 pools. So it was seeded so that each pool was seeded individually. But for every 2 pools, only one person could come out. and of course it's like double elim. So I fucking have to beat Nica K.O. twice just to get out of just to get in the top 16. This is insane.
Sorry.
Yeah, and I beat him once. It's like cool, but then no, they had to beat him again, and that's too many times. That's you can't quite ask me to do that. So I like it better now for sure. That format was a little. It was very easy to get like roadblocked if there was like a really talented player in your pool, right, or in one of those two, like in your section. Yeah.
One funny thing though is I forgot to mention this before, but there's a big amount, there's a large pressure that comes with a player challenging you, no matter if it's in top 16 or top 8, it doesn't matter. But if a player is good enough to beat you once, and if, for example, when you challenged me first round at Jazzy 3, I would be lying if I said that I wasn't feeling any sort of pressure, So it's like that comes with the format, and it's like thinking about it in a last chance qualifier perspective. It's like you really have to, like I said, put on your big boy pants to win those type of things, So unless you just don't care at all, like like EXO, but but yeah, it's a doozy for sure.
Okay. Yeah, while we're on that subject, let's kind of transition this nicely into something else we want to talk about. So let's talk about like tournament formats. Let's talk about tournament mentality. How about like something? I know you're a big fan of First to One, right? Fast adaptation. This is Japanese style, and it kind of goes hand in hand to me with what we're talking about now, which is like the pressure of LCQ. Like I have to win this 2 out of 3, or I'm just out. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, so in recent years, this actually occurred to me after my trips to Japan, where I came back thinking, man, like the way that the Japanese players adapt to what we do. And mind you, this was in a period where first in 2016 we had, no, not 2016, I'm sorry, 2017 to 2018 we had, TFC with the Japanese players, and then at that point we went to Japan, and then after that we went to Japan again. So it's like you start to become more affiliated with them, or more familiar with the way that they play, and they put strict emphasis on that adaptation. And it's like, yeah, they have the matchup knowledge. This is based off of like 20 years of matchup knowledge, so they're able to do that. But in terms of the adaptation, their formats really cater to that sort of adaptation. It's like if they see a person whiff grab once, I've seen KO like hold that whiff grab like once, and the next moment he had that situation, he completely knew what to look for at that point. He was like, okay, he whiff grabbed the first time, I'm going to adjust to this immediately. And it's like, I try to do that online or just try to do that in regular casuals, and it's like I find myself having trouble doing that. And then I notice it with other players too, and I'm like, man, how do we get faster with this? Like how do we adjust quicker to what our opponents are doing? And the only way that I can see that is by doing, one game, single game, single elim, just based on the amount of pressure, amount of focus that you need to overcome that format. So that's my thing. That was always been my thing since I came back from Japan, just to better the scene in that sort of way. But it has yet to be tested, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, so I know that's an ongoing philosophical debate between you and Kang. Right? The ideal way that third strike is played, because like you just laid out for us, right? Japan is First to One. You got to adapt fast, right? You don't get 20 minutes to adapt to a player in any Japanese format, and in American tournaments as well, right? If you say, okay, tournament is a gold standard of who the best player is, you still get 2 out of 3. It's not that much, right? Until you get 3 out of 5 later in the bracket, but that's 2 out of 3 for the most part. And then you have someone like Kang who would say like, okay, 1st to 10 is the real test. That's the adaptation test over time. So that's a philosophical debate you guys have been having for a long time.
Yeah, and I personally never believe that 1st to 10s always determine who the better player is. I think it's just a matter of, what the players know about each other. It's not necessarily what that player knows about the matchup, what that player knows about, specific scenarios, specific situations. Because think about it, if I were to play Kang first to 10, I'm not really playing, Yang versus Dudley in that matchup. I'm strictly playing myself, like I'm strictly playing versus Kang, the player. Because we played each other so much to know exactly what each other's going to do. So we're playing based on habits. Whereas an overall better player is going to know what to do in not every single situation, obviously, but majority of the situations that come up. So it's like, for me personally, I've always felt that my matchup knowledge is far better than Kang's, and that's just based on
love it. I love it.
That's just based on results. It's not
Sure.
any other thing. But it's like if I were to play versus like say Genki, Kang lost to Genki in the first to 10, whereas for me my results would probably be different. Same thing with like versus another character like Dekoi Goki. Dekoi could probably outplay him based on the matchup, whereas for me it wouldn't work that way. Could be the same thing for RX, could be the same thing for other players. So that's why I say that first to 10s don't really determine the overall better player, because you're not really playing the full way that Third Strike should be played. If that makes any sense, it's like you're playing based on the player. Whereas Third Strike is all about the matchups, the scenarios, the situations that come up. When to red parry, when to punish, what works here, what button works here. And when you do first to 10s, you sort of use that at first, but then after a while it gets stale. So that's why personally I think first to 1s you have to use all of that. It's like you watch Co-op Cup, every single one of those players in top 8 know the matchups to the point where you can't even do anything. It's like watching martial arts. You can't do anything if you press the wrong thing. So that's just the way that I personally see it. What do you guys think?
Ray, you have any thoughts?
I don't know. I feel like I can gimmick anybody out in one game. I feel like that's my style. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like the longer sets still. I gotta agree with Kang on this one. I don't know. I feel like the longer sets determine the player, how well they can adapt, and then adapt to their adaptation, if that makes sense. So, I don't know, because I feel like me personally, my play style is like probably very strong in like a one game or even short game format. Whereas like over time, I can like definitely outplay people online, and like I can beat really good players in short sets. But when I get long sets, that's when people kind of figure out my bullshit. So I don't know. I'm more of a long game type player. I think that, but I get both sides of it. Like, and even in a situation like Japan and Co-op Cup, like you have to be an extremely skilled player to exceed in tournaments like that, because it's fucking one game. Like, and that's what I always tell people. Like, if you look at the like old Co-op Cup footage, like the American team would go over there and they lose, and they're like, oh, they suck, like they lost. It's like, fucking, they flew across the sea to play one game of Third Strike, like, and you think they're bad players because they lost like a single game? Like, that's absurd to me. Like, I don't know. So I guess I'm more of a fan of the long sets. So, but I don't know. I feel like, how do you feel like when it comes to like character matchups at that point, right? Like, if it's like Dudley Chun or something like that, or like a horrible matchup, or even like Alex Chun or something like that. Like, the Alex player has a better shot of winning just one game than it does 10 games, right? Like, how long does the set have to go before it becomes more of a matchup between the characters and not the players?
So, yeah, I have some thoughts on that topic. I thought about that a little bit, right? Because that's the common idea, right? It's like, oh, for balance reasons, Third Strike. Oh, did we just lose? Did we just lose Nica? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Nica,
I'll put a pause on that thought.
Yeah. I'm super strong one game, dude.
Yeah, that's the only format you're good at. Let's be honest.
Sorry about that.
Oh no, you're good.
All right, yeah. I just didn't want to
go ahead. Okay, so that is like the classical. That's one of the classical arguments, right? It's like for one game format is better for balance purposes, right? There are some matchups where like, oh, the matchup is so bad that the ability to gimmick them out is something that brings a little bit of balance. Or the longer the set goes, the more they can adapt. It's easier for them to adapt because of the matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is there's some argument for that. Although I also think it's almost okay. Shorter formats are just more random. Like from that point of view, like if we're talking about that, they're just more random. They're not necessarily balancing. And by that I mean you can definitely agree that like okay, Alex's best chance to beat Chun-Li is first to one. But let's say the Alex player is much better than the Chun-Li player, right? And like would win a first to 10. Like that's in theory possible. It's also very possible that in a first to one, the Chun-Li, the Alex just runs into some Chun-Li buttons and loses. Like these are both possible. So short formats would just be more random from that balance point of view. So that's my thoughts on that.
Well, I think I
as
remember,
far as
sorry,
go ahead.
Sorry, Lance. I think I remember listening to like one of the old Pyro podcasts where they were talking about like Japan emphasizes more of the characters and America emphasizes more the players. I think I can kind of see that because we do like the longer formats in the U.S. and Japan is just like the characters one game, one and done. Like, yeah. I don't know.
Well, I did want to clarify one thing actually. So it wasn't necessarily the first to one versus the first to 10 format. It was more so the tournament format.
Okay.
The 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5s versus the first to 10. And obviously because the 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5 is the tournament standard here. Whereas, first to 10 it's like, can you imagine having first to 10s for all of top 8?
Yeah, King would love it. King would be so happy.
Yeah, and then he wouldn't be happy if he loses, but But yeah, so it's predominantly because I've always had that conversation. Like Lance, we had that conversation too, where it was like, do you prefer tournament matches like 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5, versus first to 10s? So it's like when you think about it in that aspect for tournament finals, like when you watch me versus Yuki first to 10, it's like okay, it gets a little it's fun at first, but then it gets stale. You have the most entertainment from the 3 out of 5s. I mean, we just had that recently, with the previous qualifier. It's like that was probably the most exciting Third Strike finals that I've ever played in. Just based on everything, like it's an auto qualifier versus Yuki versus Yun of all characters, and then it's like it was literally like a Dragon Ball Z match between us two, and I really enjoyed that. And it was like you couldn't necessarily have that in a first to 10 because eventually one player will just like burn out the other one, like whoever has the most stamina at that point. So yeah, I personally I enjoy the tournament format, just the pressure, the amount of games that you have to play, the amount of games that you have to adjust, and yeah, that's always been my thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's actually like the biggest flaw of first to 10 is that they're usually lopsided even between players who are like not that far apart in skill, right? You see it all the time. You'll see like first to 10 where it's like, okay, I thought this would be a good match going in, but through some random factors or someone's having a great day or there's a little bit of a skill gap there, like the score is like 10-4 at the end, and it just looks like, okay, you knew the set was what the result of the set was like 5 games in. You kind of already knew like, okay, this is going in a certain direction. By the time you're hitting games, one of them has 7 or 8 wins. It's like it's a formality. It's like, okay, at this point we're just playing for score. Like, can the losing player just like, can I get a few wins on the board, right? Can I make it 10-6? Because that's less ugly than like 10-3. So at that, but the set's over, which brings me to the greatest format ever thought of in Third Strike history. First to 5, win by 2. Okay, so here's the format. It's mostly self-explanatory, just based on the name. So you play to 5, right? But you have to win by 2. If you get to 5-4, set is not over. You have to win by 2. Now, if you get to 9-9, okay, then game 10 is the final one. That's it. That's for everything. So this ensures that if a set is going to keep being close, like there's just 2 powerhouses just going at it, fine, it can go to first to 10. But if it's gonna, it's basically like a mercy rule. Really, like you win 5-2, 5-3. Okay, we're gonna call it good. It was a first to 5.
Okay,
pretty good.
I like that. I like that.
But then if there's still that one game difference, then I think there was that playoff, right? That something like that.
Or yeah, 9-9, and like 10 is the terminating factor. Like we're not going to first to like 35 here, guys. Like 10 is going to be the final game no matter what. But yeah, anyway, that's a totally unrelated topic. So while we're on this topic, here's an argument. So I'll throw out an argument and we could just see your thoughts. You could argue, okay, Japan does first to one. Okay, and that is true. But it's also a teams format. And so when you play on a team of 5 people, you are not playing first to one. You're playing first to 5 with people that you respect and believe that can like be on the same level as you, right? You're playing a first to 5. That's what a 5v5 tournament is. No SBO or Co-op Cup has ever been decided by, okay, we're going to send Nuki and MOV up, okay? Whoever wins that is just the champion this year, right?
Yeah.
That's never happened. So that's an aspect too, right? Is the teams aspect is a way of adding more, you're playing out 5v5, so if you stacked your team with people you trust and believe in, then you have essentially played a longer format across 5 different players.
Yeah. And another thing too is that I think with the quantity of players in Japan, they're able to have those team tournament formats. Whereas for us, it was like because we were so spread out and because the teams were always so lopsided, it's like you would always have like Pyro, Yi, and Sextaro back in the days, you know. But then over here, it's like you had Justin, KO Fiend, and then someone else. So then it's like it's always such a powerhouse. But I think over there it sort of caters to that team tournament format. So that's a good point. Yeah. But then at the same time, it's like if we incorporated that, at least here, you'll see a lot more variety in terms of not just the character usage, but in terms of, the results in the sense of the mid to higher level players. The top level players will consistently win, obviously, but there's always that chance. You might get like a steel hammer resolve type of team,
Sure.
and it's like who wouldn't want to see that, or you might see like Ma Yang with Lance's Yang.
Now that sounds like a superstar team. Now we're talking.
No, but
No.
but you get to see these type of waxes like
Lance Yang. Oh God, this is where we're at in the podcast. Lance.
Or
Yang.
you could have Yuki and Ray on the same team, but so it opens up that variety, and I think that's always another point where players get more inspired too. It's like they start to see that, and they're like, wow, I can enter on a team, even if it's just randomized. I can enter a team, and I know what it feels like to be top 8. I know what it feels like to be top 3. I know the pressure that comes with that. So it's like a scenario like that. I would enjoy myself. It sort of lends itself to the first to one format. So, yeah, I would be a proponent of that type of thing. But
when it comes
here's a question following up on that. So I know we're doing 5v5, right? That's like in Japan they have a lot of players. They can have a lot of strong teams. They can do 5v5. In America, let me describe every team tournament to you for the last 10 years. Okay, here's how it goes. First place and second place is Team New York, Team Yi. Those are the two first, So it's always some combo. It might be like Nika, Frankie, and friends, right? That's one team. Issei sometimes, On the other team, you got your Yi, Yuki, Ryan, etc. team. That's first and second place. Third place often, is like me and Kang, bringing up the rear. And that's because there's only so many like super strong players in America, right? And they all team together. They're all friends. And so each year in teams, we have 2 superstar teams, and then we got the old runner-up team, and then it's very hard for someone. It's very hard to upset a team of 5 great players.
Yeah.
Do you think? I've kind of played when we've run a couple tournaments. I've kind of played with the idea of 3v3 instead of 5v5, just to like combat that. Just to be like, okay, let's give people a chance to. It's a lot easier to. Yeah, just like beat 3. It's like not only can you it's way more likely to beat 3 people than 5, but also when you split up those teams, right? You don't have 5 or 2 super teams of 5 people. Now you've got 3 or 4 or 5 teams of oh, these are all who knows who will win? What do you think about that?
I would enjoy that, honestly. Yeah. And aside from that, I think not just that, but sort of having a ratio, not allowing for example, me and Yuki to be on the same team, or not allowing me and say me and Frankie or something like that to be on the same team. It's like sort of having a balance of that. So I think finding a way to put those because they're established. You know, there's no. I mean, people can call it elitist or whatever it is, but the fact of the matter is that there are established players who are far and above the rest. You know. Now, the idea is that if you can randomize that, make it so that way, there are no, two top players on the same team. I'm always of the opinion that if I was to join teams with like two other players who I'm not normally on teams with, I would use I would use that opportunity to show them, to teach them what it's like, to teach them, okay, you shouldn't do this. This is what you should do. And that's me. That's just the way that I've always been to try to teach people.
Hmm.
But I'm not sure how it would work for other players. Maybe that chemistry wouldn't be there. But it develops that. It develops the community aspect of it to say, okay, I was in his position at one time.
Sure.
I remember what it was like to be on a team I remember what it was like to be on a team and be the weakest player on the team.
Yeah, Ray knows that too.
Oh my fucking god, this guy.
So,
Jesus.
there were random teams that at this past Jazzy.
They
Yeah,
did, but one of the teams, it was 3v3 format. One of the teams was Z Resolve 1, I think it was. And I'm like,
there was a
okay.
really stacked Frankie team.
Oh, okay.
Remember that?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I don't know. I like the 3v3. I would like 3v3.
I think having it like that, but with 3v3 will probably make it more, hopefully a little bit more balanced.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might have to just like name those players and put them aside.
Like they're the captains.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're like the ratios, like
Sure.
Yeah,
ratio,
CVS2.
ratio. Yeah, because they actually had that type of, well, they had it for characters, not necessarily players. In Japan, they had like a ratio character tournament, but in America, it's like we said, they focus on characters in Japan. Over here, we focus on players, so it's like at some point we have to just say, okay, these players are the ratios that can't be together, and then everyone else comes after that.
What about in the 3v3 format if you did one character per team? So like Ken, Shan, Yun, only one per team, and then double them. I feel like that would be a very fun tournament in that regard.
Well, with like random teams, or
I think you could still pick your team, but it'd have to be like character locked. Like if you get one Chun, that's it. You can't have three Chuns, three Kens. Like, and then double them since it's smaller, like a smaller size pool.
I would still, me personally, I would still be hesitant to do that just because of the fact that anyone can, you can still have a team of like Yi, and then he would be crazy enough to try to get Neobon on his team just because of the randomness factor. Like it would be him, Neobon, and then like, who's another one? Like Imagine Amir,
Yeah.
Like
Sure.
those are three separate characters, but those are three strong players.
Yeah.
That'll, it'll compete between like me, Frankie, and like someone else, so yeah, I mean it still could be lopsided, but I think it definitely leads a little bit more room for the variety there, but yeah, that's what I think it would still be lopsided.
Hmm.
What do you think, Lance?
So here's my thinking on this whole train of thought is like, okay, I'm fine with picking your own teams, right? Because it is cool to like, okay, we have these captains, right? And there's gonna have two people randomly assigned to them. The only problem that I've seen from that historically is often what happens is like it's always just gonna go down to like that last anchor versus anchor, and that's like the real match, right? Like you know, oh, Yuki has two like new players on his team. Nika has two new players on his team. Maybe those two players on each team run into each other, and whatever happens, that's cool. And then we're gonna send Yuki up, and he's gonna be out on cleanup duty, and he's just gonna annihilate those two guys, right? And then it's gonna be Yuki versus Nika, and that's what really determines it. I do think just by making it 3v3, you've already widened the field to the point where, okay, now there's like 8 great teams with the potential to like place top 3 or whatever. Just because there's they have to be spread out more. I do personally. So I know this is like I think this is less popular, but I like Ray's idea about double limb teams only because okay, if you make a 3v3 team, let's say, and this happens all the time, right? Let's say at Jazzy, right? There's 5v5 single limb. Half of the teams are out first round. So if you play the Nika Issei Frankie team first round, thanks for playing, Stuffy Muffin. Better luck next year.
Yeah.
Right? Double limb
Stuffy
at least
Muffin.
gives, yeah. Sorry, I'm not trying to say anything. I love Stuffy Muffin. He just came to my mind as someone who might play
I
you
think it's the
guys
name.
first round.
I think it's the name that that came up.
Yeah,
But
I like Stuffy Muffin a lot. He was in our old Xbox Live chat.
But can you imagine like double a limb with that? Okay, like yeah, maybe you got dealt a rough hand first go, and then you get put to losers, but then you're in like a field kind of your similar skill level, I guess. If that
Yeah,
makes
you all
sense. Like,
lost first round.
yeah,
If you go 0-2, hey, sucks to suck, but
yeah,
at least you get a chance to get some wins under your belt.
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I like 3v3 double a limb. I feel like that would be a fun tournament format. I feel with like the pool player, like the player pool in the U.S. It's not. It's tough for us to run teams, dude. Like I don't think there's any way you can cut it up to where it's not like Japan where it's like there's fucking monsters everywhere. That's like we kind of have the established pecking order, and everybody else, like myself, is like looking up. Like, all right, I wanna try to get in there. Like, I gotta try to make an impact or a splash somewhere. So, I feel like teams just tough for the U.S. But if you can make it fun, then let's do that.
yeah, and that's why at some point we have to come to grips with the fact that the established players are there, and that was one of the primary things. Like set those guys aside, set Yi aside, set Yuki aside, set Lance aside, because or maybe just do it based on results. Like if you made top 8 in Jazzy, or if you made top 16 in Jazzy, then you get at least twice or something like that. Then you get put to the side, kind of thing, because it's like that sets aside Yuki, that sets aside Yi, even FM Juan, I think, sets aside Lance. It sets aside a lot of good players.
Yeah.
That'll make teams lopsided. So it's like, maybe it could be a little bit more balanced. I mean, obviously, you'll have like those random, like strong players that come out of nowhere, like maybe Tenrin or like for whatever reason, if Tenrin was to come out.
Sure.
But in some paradox world. But yeah, I mean, that's the only way that I could see like a team format working.
I would love to see that too, just for the fucking drama that would be involved. Like fucking like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm obviously a ratio 2 player. Like fucking, I need to be in this. Like,
Let the ratio 2 go to Lance's head.
yeah, like,
Like, oh, I'm a ratio 2 player.
Ratio 2, baby. That's what would be my new thing. This last year I've been being like, you're talking to a 3-time top 8 Jazzy finalist. Next year I'm like, yeah, I'm one of the 10 ratio 2 players. So, no big deal or anything.
Well, no. So let me clarify. So, Collins, it's not necessarily a strong players can't play, but it's a strong players get randomized after the fact. After all the teams get picked out from the randomized players, then there would be one slot available for say 16 teams or something, whatever the case is. Completely randomize it, and then put those top players amongst those teams, and choose it from there. Just so that way there's not 2 strong players on the same team. It's like you don't have like Lance and Yuki on the same team. You won't have me and Frankie on the same team. So
just dodgeball captains, just line everybody up, start picking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure there would be a way to do something like that, but at this point, it would be too complicated.
Yeah.
I think they tried to do that this year at Jazzy with the 3v3, but I don't know who picked those teams. Sometimes they got a little lopsided there, but
there were some strong teams. Yeah.
But it was pretty cool.
Everyone
too,
was a little drunk too, So
yeah, but it was cool.
Typically,
like
if you see something like that, then probably means that they weren't random.
But it was really fun too because it was like they just announced it randomly. So like I played with like I think Yogurt Brain was on my team, or no, Bubbles, me, Bubbles, Max. So it was like, oh fuck yeah, like it was cool. Created some camaraderie there, but it was like just calling out the teams randomly, like, oh, Wax, Bubbles, Max. We're like, oh fuck yeah. So fun format. So
yeah. Okay. So kind of still transitioning a little bit, but still in the same. Still talking about Jazzy, right? And we talked a little bit about earlier about the picking order of top 16. What are you thinking this? Like, if you go to Jazzy this year, you're picking who you want to play in top 16. What is your thought process?
Oh, so don't go after the strongest player.
Okay. Sounds smart.
I'll tell you why.
Are you speaking to Lance right now?
No. That's myself personally because realistically, when I went Jazzy 3, when I picked my spot, I looked at the tournament board, and I was like, okay, on the bottom half, I saw a lot of New York players, and I played all of them. I played, obviously
Mm.
Ahmed, Frankie, all of them.
Hmm.
And then Yi was down there, and Mommy was there. So then it's like, I'm like, okay, if I go that route, then I could probably make it to, you know, top eight and, top three, whatever the case is. But then I told myself, I looked at the bracket on the other side, and I'm like, okay, there's Yuki, there's Issei, um, and then there's Niaban. So then I was like, okay, let me try to make it easier for New York to make top eight, kind of thing.
Sure.
So then I decided to pick that route, and then I told myself, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to play these guys eventually. I'm going to have to play Yuki. I'm going to have to play Issei. Niaban, for some reason, I always end up playing him. I don't know why. Uh, but then, yeah, I ended up playing Niaban, Yuki, and then one of the things that went into my decision to be on that side was that I actually prepared for Issei more so than anything else. Like I wasn't really practicing online, but I was just watching a lot of footage. So essentially, I was like mentally preparing
Mm.
myself to play him, and I was in the right mindset to play him. But it's still that adjustment factor that really made the difference in terms of the match. And when when I played him, I thought about it again afterwards. And I'm like, fuck.
Yep.
I should have went to the other side because then it changed the whole dynamic of the entire tournament.
Mhm.
Then I had to play Dan and losers and go through that route, and then it's like, okay, well maybe if I didn't go this route, I probably wouldn't have lost to Dan like that,
Hmm.
So it's like realistically, I'm going to start like think about
Mhm.
my own tournament journey in that sense and just focus on the path that'll get me to the finals easier. And yeah, that's pretty much what I would think to do.
So question for you: since you've gone through last chance qualifier and qualified out into top 16, and you've already won
Mm.
an auto qualifier, which do you prefer in that regards? Because I know like
Mm.
say the season 3 like with Lance, like first game of the day, Nica K.O. top 16, like here we go. Like to me that seems fucking brutal. Like I'm cold. Like I'm playing first game.
Oh,
Like you know what I mean. Like whereas like if you
mhm.
play at a last chance qualifier, like you get to reps in, you get everything, and then you're in top 16. Like, which would you prefer? Like,
Honestly, it doesn't make a difference in for me personally,
mm,
because for me, my preparation is that no matter when I play,
mm,
I always make sure that I play like a couple of games before I start, just to, get the electrons moving,
mm,
get the neurons moving in my brain. Um, but it's more so because to get the timing right of everything. Um, technically I could have gone to any tournament cold,
mm,
but I found that I know myself as a player, and for all you players out there, you have to know yourselves. You have to know how to prepare. You can't just go into a tournament cold. If it works for you, then it works for you. But my personal preference is that I like to play a couple of games before, get warmed up to the timing, more
mm,
so the timing of it than rather than just the execution.
mm,
My execution rarely goes out of whack during tournaments, but it's the timing of like my dive kicks and my teleports and things like that really make the biggest difference. So literally like a teleport would make the biggest difference between like me zempoing you on wake up
mm,
versus you waking up grab on my wake up on when I teleport in front of you. So it actually that actually lends itself to a conversation that we had with Yakun.
mm,
We actually asked him like how do you know that you're ready for co-op cup?
mm,
And his specific answer was that he knows he's ready when he can tech Makoto's dash up grab
Mm.
every single time. When he knows like he can just react to it immediately, he knows he's ready. And that's a day before. That's like practice beforehand.
yeah,
Not necessarily the day of, but that's how he knows. And with KO, it's like I didn't get to ask him, but
mm,
you can see he's the same way. Like he
sharp,
needs time to get warmed up,
yeah,
you know. So that's technically why he likes to go first a lot of times in the first round. So he warms himself up, and then he gets himself going. Um, so going back to the question of either auto qualifier
mm,
or last chance, if I had to choose one, I would say. I would say auto qualifier.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason being is because with um, Last Chance puts a lot more pressure on you as a player to the point where you get exhausted afterwards, or you might get exhausted afterwards.
Yeah, I can see
Whereas
that.
with
Yeah.
auto qualifiers, it's like you have a lot of time to mentally prepare because at that level you're not necessarily, looking to do anything fancy. You're going to play your game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like for someone like Lance or any other player who just made top 16,
Mm-hmm.
you use that time to mentally prepare yourself for the pressure.
Mm.
Because if you go through the last chance qualifier, you're going to be burned out
Yeah.
as a player.
Yeah.
This year I know Kang, he went through the entire thing. When was the last time Kang faced any kind of pressure in tournament?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the last tournament he entered was the first Jazzy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
right.
like, so he probably went in with no expectations at all. But for anyone who's competing and looking for a placement, then chances are you run into nerves. So to avoid that, I would say auto qualifier and then last chance, if I had to choose one. What do you got? Well, what would you choose, Lance? Because I don't think you went through last chance, right?
I've never been through Last Chance. I'm terrified. Yeah, that's the hardest one. And
Yeah.
you see it every year. There's like freaking 4 or 5 good players at the end of every pool, and you got to beat all those guys. And even if you think, okay, I think I should beat this guy most of the time, right? I play this guy online a lot. I tend to win majority. Even then, you're not guaranteed to win. Things can go sideways. I think if you can get on points, that's the easiest, right? You just show up, collect your paycheck of points, you know, and I work your 9 to 5. Just
Yeah. Clock
play
in.
Ray each month, get the
Oh
points.
my God. This
Sure,
guy.
that's another
Yeah.
one. That's
Um,
probably the easiest one.
Auto qualifier is cool because in general, I think so. In my experience, at least, auto qualifiers are like the harder ones are still difficult. They
Mm-hmm.
may be a little bit easier than Last Chance. We'd have to compare side by side. I mean, like, so in my auto qualifier, one was Frosty 2 years ago, and that was like me, Caesar, Al, Tommy was top 4, which is not it's not easy. But at the Last Chance this year, you would have to like you would see your pool. I know like in Ray's pool, it was like he had to beat Yi
And
or
Neobon.
Neobon just to
Yeah.
get in, right? That's very hard.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
And plus, if you screw up, if you don't win an auto qualifier, then you're like, okay, cool. I can just fly to a different one. Like if I'm super passionate about it, I can go fly to a different one. Plus, because it's an auto qualifier, I probably got points from it. So even if I didn't win, I at least got like a consolation prize.
Yeah.
Whereas with LCQ, you're just done, right? So I feel like if you can get in, freaking take that route because LCQ is going to be the hardest.
Yeah.
I think there is something to be said of like, okay, to make yourself stern enough. Like I have seen a few people who have gone through LCQ and then they continue on to top 16 the next day and they do really well, right? So Neiman was like that. Neiman won in LCQ, then he went all the way to 3rd. That was 2 years ago. Of course, Kang went through and won this year. I think Frankie, I think, was LCQ this year, right? And he went really far. So that can be an aspect of like, okay, if I deserve, I mean, you could argue, you could say, okay, if I deserve to win and I only care about winning, second place doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if I get 13th or 17th. I'm here to win. So from that point of view, you could say, okay, well, if I deserve to win today, I'm going to beat everybody. And if I don't, then I won't. So there's no difference whether I make top 16 or not. From that point of view, you could argue, okay, I'm going to go through LCQ. I'm going to like get in shape as I play through pools. I'm going to like, test my metal and be razor sharp going in. That is an argument. That's not my argument. My argument is I want the easy path, baby. I just gonna fucking cash my Ray check every 2 weeks.
Oh my God. I hate this guy.
So-
Ray, what are your thoughts on this important topic? I know you haven't been in top 16, but still, I would love to hear your
No,
thoughts.
but then you've been through the last chance qualifiers, so it's
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
thinking
that's
about
I'm
it
just
from
giving you a hard time.
Yeah.
like just like you said, like thinking about it from that perspective, it's like you had to go through Yeeg and Niabon in the last chance qualifiers. It's like, what does that do to you as a player when you're thinking about that? Like, you know?
I mean, me personally, it's like it's 2 out of 3. I can win. Like it's
Yeah.
2 out of 3. Like I can beat anybody 2 out of 3. Like a single game.
Yeah.
Like it's not like I like if I had to like win and then like okay like you have to run it back or whatever. Then like yeah, I'd probably be more stressed. But like I feel like any given Sunday for the most part, like you can beat anyone. Like if you're really confident in your gameplay, then you'll be fine. But I think the physical part of it is rough too. Because I don't know about you
Yeah.
guys, but like when I'm done with tournament, I'm like like fucking just done. Like even if I lose, it's just like so much weight off. Like, and I don't know. Like I know like Texas Showdown. Like I'd stressed on that for like weeks. Like okay, I have to go here and like play this person to beat this to get in the top 8. And it's like I stress the fuck out on that. Like I don't know why. Like it's not even like I care about winning or losing. It's just I don't want to play bad. Like that's my whole mindset is like I don't want to go embarrass myself. Like if I go and do my stuff and I lose, like okay, that's fine. Like but like if I go and just get annihilated, then that's like super stressful to me. Like I don't want anybody to just be like, "You're dog shit at the game." Like what was that? Like and it's happened before. You know, it's happened. You know, I did it to Lance at the Texas Showdown actually, but I remember that with like Caesar. See, I sat down and Caesar's like, "What the fuck happened?" I went to the bathroom. Like I thought you were about to play it. I'm like, I don't know, dude. They moved my game. They moved my game to later. He's like, "What do you mean they moved your?" He's like, "What do you mean they moved your game to later?" Like, yeah, they just moved it to later. It's like, "What do you mean later?"
Must have forgot.
Yeah, and then he's like, "You lost already?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I lost. I don't know." So, but yeah, I think the physical thing is like a lot of what a lot of people don't think about. Like, but I don't understand how guys like get out of last chance qualifier and then like do well the next day. Like I can't. Like once I do well and win that tournament, it's like or do well in the tournament, then I'm just done. But I don't know.
Yeah, that I've always said this before that winning, even whether it be last chance or auto qualifier, the moment that you make a top 16 and you play that higher quality players, like those against those higher quality players, the mental stress that it puts on you is far different than just any other tournament. It's like, yeah, it's something that you really have to be in that position to play in it and to know what it's like to face that type of pressure, you know, because it really does make a difference. It's literally like playing almost two people at the same time. In some regards, it's like you have somebody behind you like talking shit in your ear with that type of pressure,
Yeah.
and then playing another good player on the other side. So it's like that's just the mental aspect of it all, you know. But once you zone that out and you get used to it, then it's like, okay, let me just ignore this and just do what I have to do. But
So when does the confidence come from someone who's like definitely a step down from like you guys as far as like skill level goes? So, like, because I'll talk to players like you know Yi, Yuki, or whatever, and like they're so far removed from like oh like I'm already guaranteed for this. Like this is just
yeah,
where I'm at.
yeah,
Like you know
like they know like where
yeah
they stand now,
yeah.
and
Like all right,
yeah,
well I'm already looking for tomorrow or whatever like to be in finals. Like when does that come? Like when? Because I'm fucking waiting on it. Trust me. Like I'm stressing
so
out all the
it's
time.
essentially like the ascension, right?
Mm.
Like like your ascension to like the next level kind of thing. Um, so it varies for everyone, but at some point something is going to click in terms of confidence where you play against a top player, you play well, and you come this close to beating them, and then you carry that over to the next tournament. The most
Mm.
important thing is that you carry that over. If you don't, you're just going to use that as a way to put yourself down and say, "Fuck, man, I lost to this guy again."
Mm.
You know? It's like I think this year I think you played Yuki, right, at Texas Showdown?
Yeah. First game. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You played him, and how did it go again?
Last
What was
game,
the
last
score?
round.
Last game, last round. How did you
Yeah.
feel after that?
Very like I was like, damn, that's kind of bullshit. Like Yuki's, I don't know, maybe he's rusty or not warmed up yet. Like,
Do you have
so
So
imposter syndrome?
well,
yeah,
it's
so
like especially against
yeah,
him because I play him all the time. It's not like he's like a foreign player, right? Like, like Yuki could 100 me if he wanted to, and I learned that real quick. Like, like,
so that's the thing. It's like for me, for example, I used to play against Chi Rhythy all the time back in the
mm,
days. We used to have these ranking battles. Kang used to run them,
mm,
and I used to always play against like it would always be like Kang or Chi Rhythy, like some mixture of them as top two, and then me third place.
mm,
And at one point, um, it was like I came close to beating either Kang or Chi Rhythy one time. And then I told myself, I was like, okay, I know what to do next time.
mm,
So then the next time I played them, uh, I think I beat Chi Rhythy in grand finals. Oh no, I beat him in winners finals, I think, and then he lost in losers. And at that point, I was like, oh shit, I actually beat him in tournament. Even
mm,
though it was an online tournament, I took that and I was like, okay, let me transpose that to the next thing. So then I took that confidence aspect. I didn't tell myself like, okay, like I always lose to Chirithi. You
Yeah.
know, like if I were to play Chirithi first to 100, I would always lose to him like 70-30. Like no, I didn't tell myself that. I told myself, okay, let me carry this over and apply this to my next tournament match. So at that point, the next tournament, I ended up getting, what was it? I ended up getting, I think it was second place at East Coast Throwdown. It was my first East Coast Throwdown that I went to, and I lost in grand finals. I lost in grand finals to Therapist. He's the Akuma player,
Mm-hmm.
and I was actually in winners and he was in losers, and he came back and he beat me 4 out of 7 twice.
Oh wow. Okay.
And it wasn't like, 4-0, 4-0. It was like 4-3, 4-3.
Mm.
So it was like that much closer, and that really that really took a hit on my confidence at that point. And that was actually something where I didn't play for a whole week at that point because that was just so devastating to my confidence at that point. I was like, man, how could I lose like that? Like I had it. It was right there, you know? And but then after that, I shook it off. Like you literally have to take the time for yourself to say, you know what? Okay, what am I gonna do? Am I going to sit back and just let him dominate
Mm-hmm.
all the time? Or am I gonna fight back and say, you know what? Let me show him like, okay, I'm gonna get back at this and I'm gonna prove to him and everyone else that I'll be the better person. I'll be the better player. So what happens the next time I played him in Doylestown at a regular local tournament. Me and Mutant were there, and they had a team tournament and then they had a singles tournament. The singles tournament, I beat him in winners finals, and I was like, yeah, because I prepared for it. I was like, okay, I know what to do against his demon flips.
Mm-hmm.
I know what to do against this because I prepared for that. Because I was like, okay, I lost 4 out of 3, 4 out of 7 twice because of this, because of the demon flips.
Yeah.
So I told myself, I was like, let me prepare specifically for this, for
Mm.
these demon flips, because everything else I was fine with. I prepared against that. I destroyed him in winners finals in that tournament. What does he do? After that, he comes up to me. He's like, he looks at me and then he's like, I'll see you in grand finals. And then he walks out.
Hell
And then
yeah.
I was like, okay, now I know.
Yeah.
So then at that point, I had that another confidence boost, and I was just like, okay, let me push it, and push it. And then I started playing more players, and then you start to take that next level up further and further. So my sort of thing to you is take yourself out of the local scene. Take yourself out of saying, okay, I play Yuki all the time. I play Lance all the time. You know, make it about yourself and focus on yourself as a player. And then from there, you'll start to see the minor improvements and it'll start building up into the bigger ones. And that'll boost your confidence because once your confidence goes up, your execution goes up, your I guess your analysis of the game goes up.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else exponentially goes up from there. So at that point, everything will click, and then you'll reach that higher level. It's like, what about you, Lance? Like, because I know for you, you went from playing Xbox Live or playing in Alaska with no one else to play except for David, I think.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you started coming over here. You played here locally, and then it's like all of a sudden you start making top 16, top 8. You started winning these tournaments. And then it's like, where did that come from?
Well, it helps play Chun-Li. That's the first step. Great character.
I don't know if that's for me, Lance.
Yeah, well, you've also played Yun, so also a great character to
Yeah.
make these kinds of strides. Yeah, I think I agree. It like mentality is a big part of it, right? Like you're always working on your gameplay, of course, and you're always watching videos or thinking while you play, getting the reps in, pushing yourself, playing top people often. These things are all important. But I do think there's a big mentality aspect of like feeling like you're supposed to win, right? Like when I play most people in America, I feel like I'm supposed to win. Like it's, I can lose and I'm not going to say, oh, I shouldn't have lost. If I lose, I
Yeah.
lose. That's fine. But I feel like going in like, oh, I'm supposed to beat these guys. This one could be a little dicey and then I'll probably lose to these top 3 guys. But, I think I got a good shot and I got a game plan and I'm going to try my best. If it doesn't work out, it's cool, there can only be one winner and, so that's fine. But I do think that I've gotten like similar advice from a lot of top people, when I was coming up, I would ask like every top player who I could get my hands on, I would ask them a million questions. And and they all said like the same ideas, but I think phrased a little differently. Like, Ryan would say, "Play like you have the biggest dick in the room," right? And Yi would say, "Oh, when you go over to this tournament, punch them in the mouth, like just fuck them up." Like the point is establishing your presence, establishing like you're gonna establish your game, and like you're gonna be in control of things, and you're there to fuck everyone up. Like, you're supposed to win, and even if you're not, like you're still
Act
supposed to
like
win,
it.
right?
Yeah.
You should when you go into a mindset like going into a tournament, say like, oh, I'm gonna lose because it's whoever, then you've already made a self fulfilling prophecy. Yeah, and there's like a fine line between confidence and ego, right? And those
Yeah.
can very easily blur. But you always need to have that confidence. I think you need to have the confidence of like, I'm a good player. I have a game plan. I'm going to execute it, and I'm cool with losing. I'm just going to go drink beer after and go to Applebee's, whatever your coping mechanism is.
Dollaritas, dude. Dollaritas.
Yeah. But I feel like you're supposed to win. And I do feel like that's part of, that's something that you can definitely work on this year, right? Like, I feel like you have a pretty good idea of where you stand in the local scene, right? Like Nica was saying, like you're like, okay, I can beat a lot of people in our scene, and but I'm going to lose to Lance and Yuki. Like, of course I am, right? But feeling like you're supposed to beat me, right? That's like the next step up, like having that kind of confidence, because it does show in your play. Like it's even in the decisions you make, right? Like sometimes when I'm playing people, I'm just gonna like my mindset is I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want, right? I'm just gonna do what I want. I'm going to just do whatever, and if they show me they stop it, okay, I will adjust. But the starting point is I'm just gonna do whatever I want because I'm the best player here. I'm supposed to win this match. Yeah, I think that has a big impact on your gameplay if you have that mentality.
Yeah, one of the things thinking about it just now, it's like you have to have the confidence to have an ego in a sense, you know? And it's like you said, the lines are so blurred, but it's like look at all the top players out there. I mean, except for maybe Yuki, um, somewhat. I mean, but me, like my confidence broached the ego portion plenty of times before, and that was just based on results. Same thing with Yi, same thing with Ryan, same thing with any top player, you know. That confidence will broach that ego boundary, but it's all a matter of how you apply that to your local scene or the players out there. If you can't, if you don't, if you find yourself not being able to win against, say, like Yuki, play someone else. That's what I used to do. When I remember one time I literally lost 20-0 to Tenren, um, once on 2DF, and I lost 20-0 to him, and then I was discouraged for like a couple of minutes, and then I was like, "Fuck, man! All right, let me get back to playing someone else, but let me play someone else entirely so I can build up my confidence again to get that back." So then I played a bunch of people like afterwards, and then I came back and I was like, "Okay, this is how this is how Tenran beat me last time. What am I gonna do differently this time? Am I going to keep on doing the same thing? Or am I going to really be conscious of it and say, okay, let me do something different? Like, for example, with you, Ray, when you play against someone like Yuki, what's the one thing that he does that you always get hit by? Can you name one thing that he always does?
He does low forward, delay, fear shore you to chip me out every time, and I never parry it. Every time.
That's with Ken.
Yeah, yeah. Guaranteed. And
And
then I tried stealing that against someone. This is how I know like fuck, I'm not on the same level. So I tried stealing it, right? So like
yeah,
a couple sessions later, like I'm playing Ken, he's playing Yun. And then like I did same situation. I'm like, all right, well fuck him. I'm gonna hit him with this, right? So I do
yeah,
low forward, delayed fear shore you, and he parried all of it. And I was like,
yeah.
what the fuck? Like, how did you know? He's like, oh, because I've been doing that to you for weeks now. Like, I knew you'd try it out on me. And I'm like,
Yeah,
well, fuck, man, you're already thinking that far ahead. Like, oh god, yeah, but
yeah.
stuff like that, like,
So in a scenario like that, it's
mm,
like if you take yourself out of the local scene and you sort of apply yourself as if like Yuki was a new player
mm,
or like a completely different player, you'll start to see a different mindset. I know it's really difficult to
mm,
do, especially if you play the person all the time, especially if, they're in the
yeah,
same household. Um, but realistically, if you were to play, let's say you play online for like a week without playing against Yuki,
mm,
and then if you go back playing against Yuki with the mindset that okay, I want to do better against him, you'll start to see the little things that he's starting to do. You know, maybe it might be something that requires you to have more knowledge of the game. Maybe it might be something where you need to stop a bad habit. But eventually something's going to come to mind and you're going to ask that question. And that's the biggest thing. You have to ask that question.
Mm-hmm.
So, for any other players out there, it's like if you're trying to take that next step, do it at your own incremental level. You can't necessarily go from, you know, mid level to top player
Mm-hmm.
like over the span of like a couple of months. You can't do that. Impossible. What you have to do is do it in increments and just take it one step at a time. But have the confidence to lose, you know? Have the confidence to lose and say, okay, let me not say that I'm going to lose this guy every single time, but let me come back stronger. Let me play Yuki again and say, you know what? I'm tired of losing to you. I'm going to do something different and it's going to be sick. And then take it from there. So it's definitely a confidence thing that you need.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, I remember like when I was coming up. So I feel like my career, if you just lay it out right, it was like okay, I started playing in 2011. I'm a pretty terrible for like 4 years probably. I'm just playing online and just learning from the ground up. And I started like traveling to like East Coast, like Summer Jam, TFC, right? At the time, I definitely had a real mental block as far as like in my brain who are like the top guys. And I had like a list in my head of like there's like 10 people. We're talking Nika, Yuki, Frankie, Yi, Ryan. The usual suspects back then. Mutant was on the list for sure. Like I can't beat those guys, right? And I was also, I was right at the time period. I was correct. Those guys were significantly better than me. Um, but also, I had that mental block as well, where it's like even if I improved or if I got a lucky break, like I still wasn't going to beat them because I didn't think I was supposed to, right? Like
Yeah.
in my brain, I'm like, okay, I can beat these guys. I can probably get to around top 16, maybe flirt with top 8, but I'm eventually going to hit one of those top 10 guys, and that's going to be it. And we'll call that a good tournament. That's all right. I got like 13th place. We'll call it good. Um, and I
Mm.
think it's been very gradual for me, right? Like as you keep improving, you you start earning that confidence where like you're seeing closer results with these people. And then it comes to the point where like suddenly, okay, somewhere you don't know exactly where it happened, but now you feel confident most of the time. You're like, okay, I'm supposed to beat them, right? That's like what's supposed to happen.
Mm.
And like, yeah, I might play Nika Yuki back to back. That's fine because like, yeah, I have a good chance. Like, am I favored to win? No, maybe not. Objectively speaking, but I have a good chance, so I'm just gonna play. I'm gonna play my best. We'll see what happens. But I don't feel like I can't beat them, right? I never feel that way.
Yeah, I think that's maybe my biggest thing too is I get complacent. Like, oh, I made top
Yeah.
eight. I made top eight. Like, cool. That's fine.
That is,
Like,
yeah, that's a big
I
thing.
made it to the
That's
table. Like, that's fine. Like, whatever happens here is whatever. Like, I don't know. I think I maybe needed to stop thinking that way. Is like, yeah, I'm supposed to get top eight. Now what? Like, where are we at? Like, what are we doing? So,
the funny thing is too is that that's actually a fundamental thing in anything. It's like
mm,
complacency
mm,
is like death at that
mm,
point. Because it's like if you're complacent with your skill level, that's okay.
yep,
Anybody can just play and say, I can beat this person, I'm happy. And that's perfectly fine. But if some players want to establish themselves and like take that next step, you have to say, you know what, top 8 isn't enough for me.
mm,
Top 8 isn't enough for me. I remember um, my first tournament offline, I was one game away from making top 8. And this was at a local tournament. This was like with like 30
mm,
something players at the time. And I was like one game away from top 8. And I used that. I was like, okay, obviously I expected to win the tournament or not expected to win the tournament, but I had high hopes to do well and place high in the tournament. So placing one game below top 8 really pushed me to say, okay, next time I'm going to make top 8 or I'm going to make top 3. Once I made top 3 in my first tournament in my second tournament, I got second place. I lost to Flair in the grand finals. Um, Once I got second place there, I got a plaque
gotcha.
that had like, second place. And I was like, I looked at it and like I enjoyed it at first, and then I was like, that's not good enough. You know? I had to keep on pushing myself, and then at that point it just I don't know, it was just something for me personally, it was always like that where, you kind of want to establish yourself like as a permanent I guess, a permanent placeholder in the scene,
Mhm.
and that was my thing. It was always something where I wanted to establish that confidence to say, okay, I can make a top placement here and showcase this to everyone else. And then at that point, apply that knowledge to everyone else and showcase what I went through. That's why to this day, I still have my videos up of like me playing against a computer.
Yeah.
Like no one would ever believe it, and it's like what the hell? That's you? And I'm like, yeah, that used to be me. I used to always try to parry Chun's super against the computer every single time.
Mm.
And then it's like, what the hell? But yeah, everyone starts that way. So it's all a matter of where you are mentally. Um, I was just looking at the chat, um, like Collins, he had this one situation where he beat Sherwin to get into top 8 at his first TFC,
Mhm.
and that was the biggest stepping stone.
Mhm.
But then after that, trying to maintain that's the difficult part.
Yeah.
Because if you don't compete all that, after that at the highest level, it's really difficult. Um, so yeah, I mean, confidence is key, I guess you can
Yeah.
say that. So
Yep. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so we're kind of drawing towards the end of this podcast, guys. We're
Mhm.
gonna hear a couple hours, I think.
Mhm.
Um, I have a little bit more to ask Nika about, but if you guys have any questions, throw them in the chat. I'll try we're gonna have a rapid fire questions at the end of the podcast. So
Here,
if you have any questions, I will throw them real quick.
I'm gonna go use the restroom real quick. I'm a six pack
Okay.
in, boys, so a little rough.
Yeah, if you have any questions you want me to ask him, just put it in the chat in the next few minutes. We actually didn't ask this. I was going to start with this, but we just started talking, right? It's very conversational. Just give me like give me like your life story of Third Strike. When did you start playing? Why did you start playing? When did you start feeling, oh, I'm a good player? Give me your life story from your point of view.
so this was back in 2005. Back in 2005, my best friend at the time, he invited me over to his house to watch a video.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what it was. I played like CVS2 at the time. I played like, Marvel, like just with my family members. Um, but then he showed me this video of the Daigo parry. The moment I saw that thing, I was like, what the hell was that? I went crazy with the crowd. And I was like, how is this even possible? Like I knew about Street Fighter. Obviously I knew about, Street Fighter 3 because I played New Generation at the time. I played um Second Impact too. But I played it like, just any other, game. I had no idea Third Strike was like this.
Mm-hmm.
So then I saw that match and I was like, what is this? So then immediately my friend was like, "Oh, we can play it on Dreamcast, and we just have to burn the CD and play it on Dreamcast." I was like, "Okay, how do I do that?" So then, so then he gave me his CD. I was like, and then I picked up the Dreamcast controller, and I turn it on, and I go into training mode, and I'm like, "What was it that he did?" And then I saw that he parried Chun Super, so I was like, "Okay, let me try that." And then I was like, at first it took me like a whole day to try to do it, and on a Dreamcast controller. But then I fell in love with it. I was like, okay, man, like I really enjoy doing this. So let me try to do the combo next. So then I tried doing the combo, and then it just escalated from there. I started playing, um, I started playing more Ken, but then I watched a couple more videos, and then I saw KO was the one who beat Daigo at Evo. He beat him twice. And I was like, who the hell is this KO guy?
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, okay, let me pick Yun. So then I picked up Yun, and then I ended up practicing strictly the combos. I practiced the combos, and I was like, that's what KO does. And it was such a cool name. It's like KO, It's like what kind of player's name is KO? Like you're screwed now if you play against this guy. So I ended up throughout the next couple of years. It was around 2000. The next year actually, 2006, there was these tournaments in Manhattan called Web2 Zone, at a location called Web2 Zone, and they had all the games there. They had Melee, they had Super Turbo, CVS2, Marvel, all the retro games that are shunned at now, So, um, but they had all the old games, and I joined all of them. I joined Super Turbo, I lost. I joined Marvel. I had Justin next to me, and Justin was like, "Oh, do a snapback." I'm like, "What the hell is a snapback?" You know? And meanwhile, I lose that, and then I play CVS2 against one of the local players, and he's like, "Oh, you have a nice P groove," and I was like, "Oh, thanks." So then I was okay with that, but then I realized I couldn't play all the other games. I had trouble juggling all the other games at the time because I saw Justin play all of them, I saw Daigo play all of them, and then I was like, "Man, I can do that too." No, you can't. It's really difficult to do that. But then my first Earthstrike tournament was obviously, I told this story before, my first match was against Justin. And it was a 2-on-2 tournament. It was me and my best friend. And the guy calls us and he's like, "Oh, Nico OK versus Nico OK's team versus Justin Wong's team." And then he's like, "Oh, good luck." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't need luck, you know?"
Yeah.
So I was like that I had that sort of I guess like stupid ass confidence. It was a ridiculous type of confidence,
Mhm.
and almost foolish at the time. So then obviously I lose against his Yun, and I play Yun too, and I lost against him badly. And then at that point I was like, okay, I went back home, and then I was like, man, I cannot play all these other games if I want to be good at them. I had to pick one. I thought about it, and I was like, Third Strike was my thing. It just clicked for me. Like the combos, the execution, like everything clicked for me. Um, so I was like, okay, let me just play more. So then I enjoyed watching all the Gamers Vision videos. You guys remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
the Gamers Vision videos, the Family Fun Arcade videos, all of that took me up until 2008, I believe, was when, like 2007 and 2008, when online came out. When they finally introduced online Third Strike for Kylera. They announced it. They said that, Third Strike is finally unlocked. You can play it online. I was like, okay, I'm ready to play casuals online and I'm ready to get better. My first casual match online was against this player called Malkimazan. He was a chem player. I forgot where he was from. Um, but he beat the shit out of me. He beat the shit out of me. At the time, I wasn't using arcade stick. I was still using pad.
Mhm.
So then transitioning to arcade stick, I was like, okay, let me start trying to pick up the arcade stick. I couldn't connect it at the time to my computer. So what did I do? I used the number pad on the keyboard as like the buttons.
Mhm.
Sure.
So, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, those 4, 5, 6 were my punches,
Mhm.
1, 2, 3 were my kicks. And luckily with the keyboard that I had, I was able to press 2 at the same time. So I could grab universal overhead
Yeah.
taunt and all that stuff. Some keyboards they didn't have that. So I did that, but then I connected my D-pad, but then I used the analog stick. So it's like I have the analog stick in my hand with the PS2 pad,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then I was using the number pad on the keyboard to
Holy
play.
Okay,
shit.
interesting.
Yeah. And this is a true story. I even have videos of it online too. So it's like you can hear me pressing the number pad and you can hear my movements. They're like sounding like a joystick. And that's the analog stick that I'm using. So I'm like that's how I practiced. That's how I practiced online. I played against like all these players. That's when I first played against Chi Really, XO, Tenren. I first started, and then eventually I started playing online with Stick. And then at that point, 2008, um, I went to my first offline tournament after all of that, and then that was when I got second place. And then after that, it just escalated. I went to my first major with East Coast Throwdown, and then after that, I went to NEC where I teamed up with Kang at the time. That was my mistake. No, okay.
Yeah, never
We
team with Kang. I could
no,
have
I
told you
know,
that one.
but we won the tournament.
Wow.
We won. We ended up beating Justin's team. We beat Justin, KO Fiend, and was it Marlin Pie? I think it was Marlin Pie. So it was me, Kang, and Rockman. He's a Urian player.
Hmm.
So we each played. We all put in work. We all played and everything. Um, and yeah, that was my first actual tournament win. So so at that point, then after that came Sunroof Cup with MOV.
Mhm.
And I knew who MOV was because I saw the videos. I saw him play against like against KO. I saw him beat the crap out of KO, and then I
Sure.
saw him play with the broken hand,
Mm.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like, man, I have to watch this guy play. I have to go. So then I got the ticket. I went. I went with my best friend at the time, and I was like, I was telling myself, I was like, I knew where I stood. Like at that point, I was like experienced enough to play against players. I was experienced enough to beat like the New York players. I've always wanted to play, players like Vinny, Five Star, all those guys like back in the California days, like back in Family Fun days. So then I was like, okay, I play Vinny, and we always went back and forth at the time. And then there was this whole big debate about who's the best Yang player because at that point I was coming up,
Mm.
and at the time there was KO Fiend and Rom.
Mm-hmm.
Rom was a NorCal Yang player. He beat Five Star in a tournament the previous year. So the whole thing was like all like me and Rom were in the same location. Lo and behold, we ended up playing in the tournament, and then I ended up beating him.
Nice.
So all of a sudden, everyone was like, "Oh, who's this Yang player?" and everything like that. Meanwhile, I'm in the back, like just like watching MOV, recording every single thing he does, and you guys can see all the footage there too. I've recorded everything that he played, and it's like I found that watching that and playing with him, not against him, but playing alongside him, really jump started my experience as a player because I saw everything that he was able to do, and I was like, man, no one does that here.
Mm-hmm.
No one
Yeah.
plays the way that he does. And even Yuki saw that too, because I think Yuki was there. Yeah, he was there. He played Urian at the time. And then when we all came, Neiman was there, Yuki was there, and I was there. We all went our separate ways and we came back and we played online. We all tried to start playing like MOV. We all started trying to put parry and do all that stuff. And then it just propelled from there. And then came the 25th anniversary. I qualified by beating Ricky.
Mm-hmm.
Then I lost to Mester. I lost to Mester and MOV. Then after that, 2015, that was with the Fight Club. That was when Fight Club became more pronounced. We had RKF and Vanau come over, and then I ended up winning that tournament, the High Rollers tournament.
Mm.
And then yeah, and then from there, Japan came, and then years later, here we are. I mean, it's a lot more extensive than that, obviously,
Yeah.
but that's the basic bare bones of it all. It's like you take one step, then you take the other, and looking back on it, it's like people don't believe me when I say that I used to play on an analog stick and a number pad. It's like they're like, "What the hell? No way!" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I used to do." So, but you do what you have to do.
Yeah.
For me, so.
Okay, so I have a few questions, kind of following up on that whole story. Some stuff I'd like that you mentioned, and some stuff I'd like to accentuate. So I have a few questions.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned online Third Strike, and that's when you kind of started improving, right? And you're like, oh, I'm going to like start playing. How big has online Third Strike been for you? How important do you feel it is? You feel like it's a valuable. Also, I'll ask as a two-parter: is Third Strike same as offline? And if not, is it still a valuable tool for improvement? Do you feel like it's necessary? What are your thoughts on that?
Spicy.
So, first things first, it's not the same.
Okay.
It's not the same whatsoever. There is nothing the same between online Third Strike and offline Third Strike. And I'll actually emphasize why. Not essentially because of the lag, but more so the timing of everything.
Mm-hmm.
The dive kick timing, the hit confirm timing. You can hit confirm low forward super offline on cabinet. Not easily, but if you have good reactions, you can do it. You can hit confirm. You have all day to hit confirm Chan super, offline.
All day.
Online, you don't.
Some of us need all day, okay?
Yeah, I mean, some of us need all day, but the fact is that it's not the same. But that's separate from saying, it's you can't use it. You for sure can use online Third Strike. Honestly, if it wasn't for online Third Strike, I wouldn't be here. Realistically, if it wasn't for online Third Strike, I wouldn't be the player that I am today. And that's not because of, the tactics that I use were specific to all. I used to get that shit all the time. Let me just put that out there right now. I used to get berated for that offline all the time at Chinatown Fair. I used to always hear in the back of my head like, that shit don't work offline. Oh, where'd your fucking life go? Oh, you fucking suck. Go back to GGPO or go back
Go
online.
back to GGPO.
Yeah, I heard it all. But because of that, I was determined to prove to everyone that I was like, you know what? Fuck you guys. You
Mm-hmm.
know? And that's just my inner personality saying, you know what? I'm not gonna sit here and just like let them say that when I'm beating them. You know? I beat them because I'm better than them. That's all it is to it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So you use the tools at your disposal. If you can use online, then by all means use it. But you have to use it properly. You know? For me, I did one of the biggest things that I used was to get out of my bad habits. I couldn't do that playing offline because I had to pay a quarter.
Mm.
I had to pay 50 cents or whatever the case was. I had to play against people who were talking shit all the damn time.
Yeah.
Whereas if I played online, I can go at my own pace and say, okay, you know what? How do I improve on what I'm doing? Like, how do I get out of this 20 game losing streak that I have? Like, what the hell? And one of the biggest things, and I've told this story before too, is the biggest habit that I had a problem with was guest pairing.
Mm.
And um, I remember that one thing that stood out to me was Kang. He actually asked Chi Ridi in the 2DF chat. He was like, "Hey Henry, what's Nika's biggest habit? Like, what's his worst habit?" And then he's like, "Oh, he guesses on wake up all the time." And
Mm.
I'm like, "Are you serious?" And at first I didn't believe it, but then when you have two players telling you the same thing, I was like, "You have to accept it. You have to accept that you have a problem." So I was like, "Okay." What did I do? I started playing random players, and I was like, "Okay, let me get myself knocked down, and then let me put my hand behind my back." That's how far I went to improve myself because that's how bad the habit was. Like I literally guest pairing on wake up every single time. Um, Now obviously it's more educational where if I see someone going low every single time, then I'll parry. But the whole point is that you use whatever it is at your disposal to improve yourself. So online, I used it to improve my matchup knowledge. I used it to improve my punishments, whether it be red pairing or just like execution wise. And then from there, associating uh, with the different sort of, I guess, not levels of skill, but different play styles. Because you don't get that playing offline. If I played against like Frankie, Ahmed, Matt, Muin, all of them every single time, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
I had to be associated. I had to associate myself with all the different styles out there from the UK, from France, from Brazil, Chile, Central America, Mexico, California, everywhere. And you use that as to get more knowledge, as a way to get more knowledge out of that. And that's the way that you fast track it, sort of. Um, Fast track your improvement. Because if you don't do that, if you go at your own pace, and for example, for you, Ray,
Mm-hmm.
you play against the Texas players all the time. You have your own cabinets there and everything
Mm-hmm.
like that. How often would you say do you play against like players from Mexico or players from like
Oh, I
the
play online a
UK?
lot. Like
Yeah, you play online a lot, right?
I hate it, but I play online a lot, and I always tell
Yeah,
the children like it's important, like because they're like, oh, I don't like playing it. It's fucking laggy. I can't do this, and I'm like, you need that exposure to everything, right? Like even if you just
yeah.
play here, it's like okay, you get used to Ray Yun, you get used to Lance Chun,
You
you get
get
used to
used to
Sunny
Yuki.
Ken. Like
Yeah.
you understand what like Sunny Ken can do, but do you know what like fucking random McGee 92
Random McGee.
can do like in a tournament? Like you don't you're just used to like how one person plays, and like we all have habits and tendencies, right? So it's like
Yeah,
Ray Yun may not go short dash punch on wake up, but like other Yuns do. But like you get used to like, oh, that's not an option for Yun because Ray doesn't do it. Like it's like no,
yeah,
no, like other Yuns will do that. Like you need to see all looks. So it's like I try to stress with them like play online a lot. It's important. Like get the reps, get the looks, and kids improve so fast now. Like it's
yeah,
insane. Like if you look at new players who pick up the game, like they get so far within a few years, and it's just because of online. Like they
yeah,
get so many different looks, and also there's like so much footage out there, right? Like when I started the game back in like 03, 04, like some of the young stuff was like, oh, that's combo video stuff. Like that's not practical. And like now the kids who get into the game are like, oh, I have to die pawn or do these resets. That's how you play the character. Like that's how you play it. Like that's fundamental to playing Yun. So they learn all that stuff within like a year or two. And it's like back then that was not practical. Like no one did that. Like so yeah. So I
Like
would.
how many?
Hmm?
Yeah, just piggybacking off of that, it's
Hmm.
like how many? Look at the young players. Like for example, Joyous sticks out to me from Canada.
Hmm.
Um, Resolve sticks out to me. It's like these two guys primarily. Like what the hell? Like where did they get this from?
Yep.
Like Joyous, how does he do all those combos that Colin does? And it's like what the hell, you
Yeah.
know? And then Resolve, he's doing everything that Steelhammer does and that
Mm.
RKF would do in terms of combo wise. And I'm like, man, like, but it's not, it's more so than just the combos. Like sometimes they have the practical
Mm.
sort of mindset to say, okay, this is how you're supposed to play. And
Yeah.
these guys, they're no slouches, you know. They go to tournaments and they can win, you know. So it's
Yeah.
like you never had that back then. So
Because the game was
you know,
smaller back then, right? Like the
yeah,
and like like I skateboard, so like 20 years ago, like people were not chucking themselves down like 20 seer handrails and stuff like that. But now the new generation is like little kids see it and they're like, oh, that's what you have to do to be the best. That's what I need to do. So that's what they see
yeah,
now with the level of gameplay. It's like, oh, that's what I needed to be a top player. That's what I'm gonna focus on. That's what I'm gonna do. But online helps a lot with that, right? Like, because before it's like when I first started, I got to go to maybe one or two events a year, if that, because I lived out in the sticks. So it's like, what is my exposure to play someone? Like, I would play training mode, watch videos, and then maybe get to go play in person one or two times a year. Like, you're not gonna get well, it's gonna take a long time to get good in that way. Whereas like now, it's like I wake up, I get on my computer, I have access to some of the best players in the country immediately. I can play them as long as I want, as long as they're willing to play. Get the looks. Like, yeah, the timing and everything is different, obviously, because it's online. It's not the same game, but at least I get the reps in, right? Like,
yeah.
I get to shoot a jump shot 1,000 times a day, whereas like before it was like, oh, I get maybe a couple of jump shots a year, if that's a term. So yeah, it's just different. Online's important. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean everything, but it doesn't mean nothing either. That's what I always tell people. So
And I know it helped you too, right, Lance? I mean, without online play, I mean, you wouldn't be Igloo Bob.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be playing for sure. Yeah, so I won't give my whole life. I mean, this isn't a podcast about me, but yeah,
yeah.
the short version of my story was that I lived in Alaska for like most of my career, and I just had a one friend to play in. Some White David as he goes by now,
Hmm.
or White Chosen. Yeah, so that was my only trading partner. And I would play people on Xbox Live in like 150 ping connections. Like whoever was good, who was willing to play me, I would play them. And yeah, it was years of just like getting my shit kicked in, right? Like when you're starting from square one and you're like 10 years behind everyone else, because like most people at the time like came in with the Daigo Parry, and I was like 7 years or 8 years after them.
Hmm.
So there are like significant gaps, right? And I'm just gonna be honest, I'm not the smartest player who has ever lived.
That's a
I
fact.
wasn't
Yeah,
going to surpass
definitely.
these people based on my talent and smarts. So I was just gonna have to get the reps in. And yeah, the only way you can do that is online.
Hmm.
I do agree pretty much with what you guys are saying about it's not the real game, right? It's not the same, and that thanks Envy. It's not the same game, right? But it's close enough, and it's
Yeah.
way like
Yeah.
people who okay. So in my opinion, if you think about and I'll kind of this will segue into a next question here in a minute. But in my opinion, in the last decade that I've been like experiencing and observing the game, the people who made the biggest increases in level were all playing online, right? You can play offline and get if you're already really good, you can stay really good, right? Like Yi doesn't really play online. He's really great. He's always
He's
been great.
always been good, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the people who have like really, shot up in level were like, okay, now they're on a different level from what they used to be. They all played online. And I think and this kind of goes back to like the ego aspect of the game, because right, it really hurts to lose, especially if you're playing online and you feel like you didn't deserve to, right?
Mm.
That one hurts everyone's feelings. I think if you can play online and like want to win and compete your best, but not necessarily get really upset if you lose, you just say like, okay, it is what it is. Online is flawed, but I'm getting something out of this. I'm just gonna keep playing people, even if the connections are shitty. Even if I feel like I would destroy this guy on arcade, he's beating me online, fucking lag abuser, Kang. Yeah, if you keep just throwing yourself at them, you're just gonna get something out of it, right? Like no matter
Yeah.
what, it would be great if we all lived in one city and we could all just play each other all the time on Arcade Cabinet. It would be great if we all lived in Tokyo. Like what I'm describing is Tokyo. Those guys have that. No one else has that. America is fucking 5 billion miles wide. So the only way you're going to even remotely get that is online. So yeah, I think play online, be okay with losing, and just like keep throwing yourself at the problem, and you're just going to get better that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of that, speaking of people who really increased in level in the last decade, you kind of went over this in your life story a little bit. I kind of want to dial in on a time period, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I will just lay out a narrative. Here's the narrative. In the 2004 to 2010 era, the narrative was like basically the best players are FFA, right? There's Japan, then there's FFA, and the rest of you people might as well be fucking Mongolia, right? As far as your skill level goes, right? And this is this is like, everyone pretty mumuch feels this way, right? Yeah. And there's a time period of, going up to that's why it's like up to 2010. That goes through the SBO quals. And Pyrolee's the best, right? Yi's amazing, Amir's amazing, Sextaro's really great. Up to 2010 with Sunroute Cup, that's the narrative. Online keeps happening in the background, right? And players who weren't in the best player conversation are starting, people are talking about it, right? People are saying oh, maybe Nica and Yuki are just as good as Yi and Pyro now. Maybe they're better, right? How do we even find that out? These guys don't travel to play each other. Right, and they're online and offline. It's a different game, right? There's all these conversations happening, and it's kind of for 5 years, it's just kind of dormant. You guys keep improving, right? All you, Kang, Yuki come to mind, but plenty of other players keep improving. And then with Summer Jam 2015, I feel like it's the first time where East Coast throws a tournament, and the goal is to let's build a national tournament scene, right? Mm-hmm. And we got to get, and you want to get a national tournament scene, and you're going to get all the top players to buy into it, right? And so that starts happening, and I fly to that. Some other players like Bisu flies to that. So that's the starting point. Then you go to visit Boiler Room. I want to say this is 2015, 2016?
2015.
2015. And you play...
Is that the cam footage?
There's camera, and there's two famous first to fives there, right?
Of
Nica playing Yi and Pyro, and he goes 5-4 both times. He beats one of them and loses to the other.
Yeah, I lost to 5-star, but then I beat Pyro. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Yi's really impressed, right? I know he's really impressed at the time. And so he wants to return the favor. He comes to that fight club, right, where Vanal and RKF were at. And now they got something, and now this is building up to TFC 2016. So now we've seen Nica go to West Coast into the heart of the FFA, coming from Mongolia over the gates. And proving himself. Yi wants to return the favor. He's really invested now. And this basically leads to TFC 2016 and 2017, which directly leads to Jazzy 1, 2, 3, and 4, to the point where what we have now is we have a national tournament scene where all the top players have bought in. So I guess that's the whole narrative. That's the whole story. Tell me your thoughts about that. Tell me, did it mean anything to you to go to SoCal and compete with those guys? Give me your thoughts on all of that.
So I think if I didn't get the chance to go to SoCal, again, that's another aspect of it all that is a part of my sort of makeup as a player, that I wouldn't be who I am as a player if it wasn't for that. Because the first time that I went over there was for Sunroof Cup. That was my first time that I've been to California, first time that I've been to another location where I played Third Strike in a foreign territory. I was in enemy territory, and at the time, at that time of 2009, 2010, that was the height of West Coast being dominant, because before that it was always East Coast, West Coast, Justin versus Pyro, who wins, at that point Justin went on to Street Fighter 4. So he was still good, but him and Ricky played in NorCal. So, and then at that point, Justin moved to California. So we didn't have anybody, So at that point, obviously, because, MOV went, that was the predominant reason that I went to have the opportunity to play him. But in the back of my mind, that sort of West Coast is higher than the East Coast kind of struck me in my first tournament match over there. My first tournament match was against Ray Ramos in California. And
Legend, dude. Legend.
and I will
Yeah.
never forget this, how loud the crowd went on his side. Because obviously, I'm a guy from the East Coast. I'm from New York. Nobody gives a shit about me. The only people who were on my side were from North Carolina. There was Common Sense, Face, and someone else. Um, but yeah, it was just us on my and Knuckle Dust. I'm sorry, Knuckle Dust. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it was literally Face, Common Sense, and Knuckle Dust, all of us on the same side. And it's like the entire I guess the entire Southern California was like on the other side. I don't know how the hell that they fit them all in there. But the idea was that the first time that Ray hit me, he hit me with a low round like a duck on like a Kanibon, low roundhouse into duck under super. The first time he hit me with that, they went nuts. They went nuts. I was like, what the hell is this? Because mind you, this is my first time experiencing that. Like I had like Chinatown Fair guys talk shit and everything like that,
Mm.
but this is the first time that it was like me representing New York or me representing the East Coast versus the West Coast. So then, so then the first time he hit me with that, I was like, I had jitters for a
Sure.
little bit. Yeah, I had tournament jitters, and I was like, okay, let me get back into this. So I refocused, and then I got back at him. I beat him the first game. I beat him the second game. At that point, everyone was like, who the hell is this guy? So then at that point, that was when I was like, okay, who's next? And then at that point, I was like, I was looking at Rom, I was looking
Mm.
at Vinny, I was looking at Five Star, Pyro, I was looking at all of them. And then I was like, okay, let me try to beat these guys. I lost to Vinny barely,
Mhm.
barely by the skin of his teeth. He barely scratched it out. Literally, it was like my slash was like right here, and his low forward was like right here. That's how close it was, because I did EX slash, and his low forward came out, and he told me afterwards. He was like, "Oh, I swear to God, when I pressed that low medium kick, I closed my eyes." I was like, "Oh man, that sucks." But yeah, so I lost that, and it was in losers. So that was when he made top 8. But then I took that back, and then I was like, okay, the next opportunity I get, I'll 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 look to play those guys. I'll look to play Yi. I'll look to play Pyro. So then what happens? I come back. I just so happen to come back in 2015, and I go to the boiler room. And then, at that time, everyone knew that I was coming. They knew that I won, the 25th anniversary. They
Mhm.
knew that all that stuff happened because that's a large gap. That's 6 years, So at that point, I'm basically establishing myself as the top, East Coast player. So at that point, I go over there again. This time it was more casual, it was more like, okay, let's see what he has. So then I play against Five Star, I play against Yi, you know. Then after that, I basically convinced Yi to come back to the Fight Club.
Mhm.
And I was like, listen, you have to come. We have RKF and Vanau coming. And he's like, all right, I'll be there. So then he comes over and then we play. And it wasn't necessarily the same. It wasn't like everyone was cheering against him
Mhm.
like that because everybody loved Yi over here.
He's,
Like
he's a
that
personality.
was yeah, he was a personality, but that was the thing that bugged me because like when I went over there, I was
It's
like
like,
everybody hated my
fuck.
guts. So then, but then when he comes over here, it's like they treat him as a special guest because he was, at that point. So Monakai, he loved him. Denges loved him. All these guys loved him, so it was nice. But by that time, it was like that whole rivalry sort of subsided a bit
Mhm.
until eventually it came to TFC where 2016 where we had This Is Star Strike, we had the guys from California come over, and we had that period where even with California coming out, This Is Star Strike still dominated. We were always in top 8 those like
Mhm.
3-4 years, something like
Yep.
that. And we established ourselves there. So it's like it was really fulfilling for me to see that because it's like thinking about it in hindsight, it's like going from 2009, where West Coast was at the height of Third Strike in America, to slowly bringing everybody with me to surpass that and say,
Mhm.
you know what, we're up here now. We're the better ones now. And then now at this point, now it's like, you know, now it's like right there, I guess. So it's really nice to see that. I think in terms of like a storyline, a narrative, like you said, it's
Mhm.
like really nice to see like taking down like the empire kind of thing,
Sure.
and then like establishing ourselves as like the new, not the new empire, but like the new sort of dynasty at that point,
Hmm.
I guess. Um, Dynasty is probably not the right thing to say, but in the context of the results, that's basically what it was. We kept on
Yeah.
winning every major, you know? So yeah, I think it was really fulfilling, and that's why I personally enjoy seeing like the other scenes come out, like Texas, NorCal, like Midwest, people in Chicago, like that type of area.
Hmm.
Like I'm really excited about the future of it all because it's like seeing all of them play, I can see the potential.
Yeah.
I could see where it can go if they just, keep on doing it. If they keep on pushing themselves, you know? So it's like I see you guys competing with like you guys already do compete with us, you
Hmm.
know? It's like you have Yuki, Lance, Ray, Sunny. You guys already compete with like me, Frankie, Matt, and anyone else. Like it happens. So yeah, I mean, it's really exciting to see that as a community, as a scene. That's basically what we need is more of that. The scenes to rise up and sort of establish themselves. And yeah, I think that makes it so that Dershike has that longevity, you know, has those periods of dominance. So yeah, keep at it.
Yeah. Ray, you have any thoughts on that?
No.
Okay.
I think that's
Great.
good.
I think it's got it covered.
Yeah, if I didn't say anything, about Texas, you probably would have said something, but no. No, you guys really the community that you guys have over there, like me being able to travel like to
Mm.
California, seeing that, then to Texas, seeing that, it's like seeing the different scenes out there. It's like it's so inspiring. It makes me want to play more, you know? And that's why I enjoy making my videos, and that's why I enjoy playing against anybody and everybody. So,
Awesome. Okay. Um, so now we have arrived at the time of the night where I'm going to ask you a series of rapid fire questions. There were two questions that I saw from the chat. If I missed any, please feel free to repost them. But I caught two, so I'll start with those.
okay.
So Colin asked, how do you evaluate what your bad habits are? How do you think someone should address these things? What if you don't see it yourself and it requires outside influence to be told or to figure it out? So yeah, how do you evaluate your bad habits and how do you address them?
You evaluate your bad habits based on how much you get, not necessarily how much you get punished for it, but how much you see it.
Hmm.
Um, so, for example, for me, like it took me a while to see it because I didn't believe it. You have to sort of come to grips with the fact that it's your bad habit and announce it and say, okay, my bad habit is guest pairing. So what do? I have to put my hand behind my back to stop guest pairing.
Hmm.
Uh, Another thing too that I used to have a problem with, I used to always do like standing jab into low forward slash. I used to telegraph that. I used to be like, damn it, I keep on doing this. So I told myself, I was like, okay, let me not do that anymore. Like it's easier said than done, but it takes a lot of viewing your own matches and self-awareness to overcome that, you know? So it's like it's very easy to just say, okay, I had somebody else tell me, but you have to come to grips with it and you have to actively actively look for that in matches, you
Hmm.
know? Like actively look for that thought process. When that neuron fires and tells you, okay, shoulder here or guest parry here, try to fire another neuron that says stop. Like if you have to take your hand off the stick, then take your hand off the stick, you know? That's how far some of these habits can go. That's how bad it can get. And I know it might seem excessive for some people, but it's something where if you're really passionate about making that improvement, making that next step, uh, hey, more power to you if you do it. You know,
Awesome.
do what you have to do.
Awesome. Okay, next question. I have such bad jitters in tourney. Do you have any
Mhm.
strategies to mitigate stress in tourney? I remember my first offline tourney, my hands were actually trembling really
Same.
hard and messed up a bunch of my execution. Do you have any ideas of how to deal with that?
Um, there are a couple of things. Um, and I'm actually gonna steal a line from what Pyro said. Pyro mentioned one time on his podcast with Gutex. He said that in
Good
God
tournaments you
bless.
want to, yeah, in tournaments you want to play your best casual match. think of it as a casual match, but
Mm-hmm.
play your best casual match. And what he means by that is that if you play everything consistently, if you are executing properly, think of it as a casual match. Because remember, you're going into the mindset. What scares you about a tournament? You know, are you scared of losing? Are you scared of embarrassing yourself in front of other players? Are you afraid that players are going to look at you and say, "Oh, you're not that good"? I've had that. I've had that plenty of times where I was like, "Man, all these guys know me from online.
Mm-hmm.
So then if I come offline and if they see that I'm not good enough, they're going to keep on talking shit." And that really crossed my mind because they kept on saying it. They were like, "Oh, that shit doesn't work offline. Like, go back to online, stupid." And it's like, you hear that and I'm like, fuck, man, like that gives you jitters. But then
Yeah.
after a while, you're like, you get used to it. You start to hear that more and more. And then you start to tell yourself, like, okay, I know what to do here. Like, I've seen this situation plenty of times, you know? It's like if you play against a player offline and you get jitters, but then you see them do shoryu. You have the self-awareness to see them do shoryu on wake up every single time. What are you gonna do? Like seriously, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna get hit by shoryu every single time?
Mm-hmm.
No. You're going to block and punish. And then once you have that confidence to do that and say, okay, he made the mistake, now let me capitalize. And then you just build on that from there. It's really an incremental build, just like, player level. It's really an incremental build from the jitters. It's like you need to have your confidence, and that confidence comes from your execution and your knowledge. That's the key thing. I'm actually going to have a video about this part, but um, one of the key components of being at a higher level is the knowledge aspect and the execution aspect. If you can do those two things, your confidence will shoot through the roof. A lot of people have execution, but they don't have the knowledge. And that's the biggest thing because if you don't know that, say, EX slashes can at some points go under EX ages, and if you don't have the confidence to do EX slash under that, then you're not really using your full potential. You don't have the confidence to go through that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if if you know for a fact that low forward super or 1 2 3 activate works every single time, and you can execute it, then you'll start to feel a little reserved about it. But the fact is, you guys know what you're doing. Lance, you know how to do low forward super.
Yeah.
So you
Sometimes.
so
Sometimes, yeah.
sometimes, but obviously execution errors come in, and
Yeah.
look at that,
Mm.
because you have execution errors, that sort of lends itself, that creeps into the confidence aspect of it.
Sure. Yeah.
And I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, then tell me. That's another thing too. But what do you think?
Yeah. No, that sounds exactly right. I think execution, of course, right, is a big one. If you feel confident in your execution and confident in your knowledge, that's great. I think also, for me, something that I've always had to think about is there's pressure involved in certain scenarios, and how do you reframe the situation for yourself so there's not, right? So when you're coming up, right, maybe your primary motivation is, I don't want people to think I suck, right? Ray was talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
I just don't want people to think I'm terrible if I just get destroyed. The higher you get, it flips on it, right? Now, when I play people in tournament, I'm like, okay, I think I'm supposed to beat this player, and if I lose, right, like there's only risk for me. Like I'm supposed to beat this guy, but I could lose, and that's very nerve-wracking. You can get nervous playing people where you think I'm supposed to win, but I could lose, right? And there's plenty of players who are like that, who are like, if you run them in a tournament, you're not 100% confident you're going to win. How do you reframe that? And that's something I think about a lot. I think, lately my solution has been like, I'm just going to care less, I've been playing 10 years. It's fine. Is that, maybe that's a Kang mentality of like, okay, if I lose a tournament, it's cool.
Yeah.
That's been part of it. But I think if you can find ways to reframe the situation for yourself, because like the reality is no one cares or thinks about you as much as you do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like people aren't, for the most part, going home saying, man, that guy fucking was so trash, right? Oh, it's so embarrassing that he lost to that guy. For the most part, that doesn't happen, right? That's a narrative in your head. I think reframing in that situation for yourself where that's not a motivating factor for you, right? Like I'm just going to show up, I'm going to play my best, I'm going to feel confident in my execution. If I lose, it's fine. There's going to be another tournament, right? We're all on this journey together. There can only be one winner. If you can reframe the situation like that, I think that helps a lot.
So one actually recent example that I had personally was when we were in Houston for the qualifier.
Mm-hmm.
The first round, who's the Urian player? Was it
Oh,
Zara?
ISO Boy, right? Isn't it ISO Boy?
No,
Am I
I
right
don't
on?
think it was Iso Boy. It was fuck.
Oh,
He
it
plays
was
Blue Urian. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I thought it was a red Urian.
Maybe it was.
it was the Urian. Okay, we got
It
that
was a
part.
No, but
Urian.
yeah, it was like Urian, yeah. But I think it was Zaris or something like that. But then I remember like he beat
Was
me
it
the
some
first game.
Optimus? Some Optimus, maybe.
It's like what Wazaru, right? Is that how you say his name?
Oh yeah, it was Bazaru, yeah.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I remember I was playing him, and it's like we're playing in it's the first round,
Mm.
and meanwhile he gets me down to last game, last round, and then all I hear in the background is you guys saying like all right, turn up, Nika, like all right,
Yeah.
Nika, turn up,
Turn up.
and then all I can hear is like in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, when the fuck are you gonna turn up, you know?
Yeah.
So then so then eventually it came to the point where I was like, okay, you know what, they're right. Like I'm just like sitting back and letting this guy hit me. So then what do? I start getting more aggressive and then like Lance said, I reframe myself to say, okay, you know what? I told myself that okay, I'm not gonna lose this. Like
Right.
I'm gonna play the matchup as I know it. I'm gonna play aggressive, play my game, and then that's it. For whatever reason, when I first played that, I don't know, I just wasn't my head wasn't in the game. Like I was just like just letting him hit me. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know what it
Mhm.
was. But then last game, last round, I was like, oh shit. And then it clicked. And then I was like, okay, let me just play my game. Remember, he's scared of me at this point, you know? If I win this round and if I beat him, he's going to be scared of me. He's
Sure.
going to be afraid to lose. So then let me take advantage of that. So then boom, my execution was there, my confidence was there, my matchup knowledge was there, and everything just propelled from there. And yeah, it was just funny because all you hear is like in the back of my mind, like you guys saying like, "Oh, turn up, Nika," like
Yeah.
you,
That was me actually. It's
yeah, I heard
turn
that,
up,
yeah,
turn up. Where we at? So
Yeah,
yeah.
you
yeah.
deal with
So
nerves.
yeah, so then I wasn't necessarily nervous at the time, but it was more like I was like, "What the hell is going on? Like, what am I
Yeah.
doing?" You know.
Yeah.
But then you turn it around, and if it wasn't for you guys, I probably wouldn't have turned it around.
Thanks, Bray.
So yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. So
Yeah, I don't know. I still have like super bad nerves in tournament to the point to where like my hands are like, and I
you
have to
still get
like,
that?
oh yeah, like very bad, very bad. But it's usually after the first game it goes away. But like
Yeah.
I have had times too where it's
So
like,
why do you think that is?
I don't know. It's just like there's so much that goes into tournaments, right? Like you're
Yeah.
traveling. There's the money aspect. Like you're here. You're at a different scene. Like I don't know. It's just like so much, but like once it gets going, like you're saying, like once it kind of clicks and you're like, okay, I know how to play this game. I've been here before. Me, I've even had to have like real conversations with myself. Like, you're a grown ass man. You pay taxes. Like, why the fuck are you freaking out about a video game that you play all the fucking time? Like, just calm down. Like, it's not that big a deal. But like, sometimes it's getting that first game out of the way, just to be like, okay, it's done. Like, we're in the tournament now. Like, let's get into it. Like let's turn up for the most part. Like let's do it.
Mhm.
But like I have had times too where I'm like trying to punish something and I'm just my hands are just like what is
Wobbly.
this? Like what is going on? Like
Yeah.
you know how to punish this? Like yeah, I don't know. But usually once I get past the first game, I'm like okay, like we're in it now. Let's do it. So but
Yeah.
but yeah,
That it was funny because I'm, I think about that. All you have to tell yourself is it's like, listen, shut the fuck up,
yeah
put on your fucking big boy
yeah.
pants,
Pull your
and
boots
fuck
up.
this shit
It's
up.
gonna work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So that's pretty much what you have to do. But
No.
yeah, nowadays what I have is like I have nerves before tournaments. Like I don't have nerves like during the tournament anymore.
Mm,
Mhm.
Like even when before I played Lance, like I had nerves before the tournament, before the match started. I'm like, and this is actually what Envy was saying too, because I have the same thing. I get nervous, like I get the bubble guts before,
mm,
and then I'm like, okay, like let me just drink some water, and then just like take a break outside, you know?
mm.
Sometimes you just need that. Sometimes you just need to take a step out of the environment, take a breather, come back inside with a fresh face, and then play the match, and then you're good. Once you get past that first round, like we all said,
Yep.
you should be good.
Yeah.
But some people don't have that. unfortunately.
I thought what was interesting is we all gave kind of slightly different answers, right? And I
Yeah.
think they're all useful, but in some ways, like how you deal with nerves is very personal to you, right? For me, it's like, for me, it's framing the situation in terms of like, it's fine to lose. Like, what's the worst thing that happens if you lose here, right? For me, that's what calms my nerves. It's like, okay, if I lose to this guy right now, Denges will talk shit tomorrow, but my life's gonna be fine. And so, and that comes from like a respect of my other players. Like I know that this guy is good and he has a threat level. So if I lose, it's fine, right? That's in my mental, that's really important. And then I just okay, now I can play. I'm gonna play my best and I'm good. I'm gonna just lay it out on the line, however it goes. Great, right? Whereas Nika's answer is like, I'm just not gonna lose. And that reminds me actually of you told me something. You said like, oh, I was playing Neobon. And it's like he lands the game-winning stun. Final, like if he lands this comp, he stuns you. If he lands a combo, it's over. You're out, and he advances. And you just said in your brain, "Oh, he's gonna drop this, and I'm gonna win."
Yeah, yeah. Realistically, because I remember that specific situation too. Jazzy 3, I came back and he hit me with super and he stunned me.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that I love about that super is that I'm able to mash out quickly.
Yeah.
So then, and I knew that for him, he's in that mindset of thinking like, okay, if I do this, he's gonna win the first game. He wasn't going to advance, but he was gonna win the first game, and that's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
So again, he gets that combo, and all I hear is like in the background, I hear everyone saying, "Oh, it's done, it's done, it's done."
Sure.
I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about? It's not done."
Yeah.
So then, what did I do? Because immediately I told myself I was like, "Okay, if I'm stunned, I'm not giving up. I can mash out of this. I mashed out of like quicker things than this." So I literally just like tried to mash as quickly as I could. But then I was like, at the same time, he can mess it up if I start mashing quickly enough. Like if he sees that I'm mashing hard enough, psychologically, players see that and they're like, man, I have to be quick with my punishment. Then they second guess themselves. Then they're like, oh shit, what do I do here? Oh fuck, I messed up the punish. Oh wait, he broke out of it. And then next thing you know, he misses. He misses the kill. So then that's exactly what happened. I broke out of it. He hit me with I think it was standing fierce. And then I hit low forward into slash because he didn't do anything afterwards. He just stopped.
Yeah.
So I broke out of it. I did low forward slash. I got the winning advantage and then I came back and I beat him. But it's like contrary to what you were saying, it's like I don't look at it as saying that okay, I'm just going to be happy if I lose or if I win then it's not the or if I lose it's not the end of the world. I don't do that. Me personally, I like to say that I'm not going to lose to Denges and that fuels me to yeah, it's like I use that as fuel to like say like okay, I'm not gonna fucking lose to Denges. I'm not going to lose to Niabon. I'm not gonna lose to Yuki. I'm not gonna lose to anyone.
Sure.
You know? So I use that as fuel to say like because then I'm conscious of what people are saying. Like in the background, sometimes I'm conscious of that. I think it's because of my Chinatown Fair days, like I've just been so used to hearing stuff that sometimes I tune it out, but then I hear like the more crucial things. Like I hear things like, "Oh, it's done, it's done, it's done."
Yeah.
Like he's done. I use that. And I'm like, no, it's not. And then I hear like oh, Nika's gonna lose this. I'm like, no, I'm not going to. So it's like you use that as fuel to like tell yourself.
Do you ever
So
focus like specifically like on the background stuff? I know I have like really
yeah.
bad like I've heard like people be like, "Oh, he could have done like more damage there," or like,
Oh,
"Oh, he
you
could
mean
have done
like
this."
advice?
And then in my head, I'm just like, "Could I? Like, should I be doing that?" And I'm like thinking about it. And I'm like, "Fuck, I'm playing right now. Like, why am I thinking about what's gonna give me like 2 more points of damage or some dumb shit like that?" But I don't know. I'll literally listen to the background and then I'll start having like a conversation in my head about like what's being spoken behind me. Like,
Yeah. So not the advice. The advice I don't listen to.
yeah.
The only thing that I would listen to is if somebody was to tell me to relax. Like if I go in and if I get a winning advantage, and if somebody tells me, "All right, Lloyd, relax. Like just like relax. Don't go too in. Like don't go in." That happened to me at Co-op Cup in 2017. We were playing against not Kodai's team. We were playing against K-kun, K-kun Yang's team. It had Hugo Kun. It had K-kun, Decoy. No, not Decoy. It had Zabi.
Mm.
Um, and then two other players. I forgot who they were at the moment, but I remember I was playing against Zabi, and I had a winning advantage against him. I knocked him down with the X slash, and then I teleported, and then I hear in the background, I hear Frankie. He's like, Lloyd, take your time.
Mhm.
And I've never paid so much attention to a comment ever before in my life in tournaments as much as I did that. So then when I heard that, I was like, okay, he's right. I have a huge life lead.
Mhm.
He has nothing left. All I need to do is just hit one combo and that's it. It's done. And then what do? I take a step back and then I let him kill himself. Because
Mhm.
then he did something else and then I end up punishing him and then I win. Um, but yeah, it's like I listen to that, but I never listen to people who tell me, "Oh, dive kick here," or "Oh, you know,
Yeah.
do low forward slash here."
Yeah.
No, you don't tell me when to combo. You can tell me when to block. That's fine,
Yeah.
but you don't tell me when to combo. I do my own combos. So yeah, that's the only thing.
So Ray wouldn't block. He doesn't listen. So
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't tell
and
me nothing.
depends. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, I'm pretty sure you probably had some people say like, "Oh, what kind of combo was that?" or "Why did you do that combo?"
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Of
Like,
course. Yeah. I do have Ray combos. That's for sure. So. But I don't know. I feel like the feedback too, like especially playing Yun, like don't kill yourself, back off, chill,
yeah.
yeah.
get the meter, especially like it should be like first in common knowledge with
Oh
Yun.
yeah.
Like I need the meter, right? Like an agent is the most important thing in the world, but there's sometimes too where it's like I just gotta fucking hit this guy, gotta hit him, and
You
then
know,
having someone in the background like chill, go get the meter, go get Ganagin, then come back. Like, okay, yeah, you're probably right. I probably should do that. Like, yeah.
you know what the most interesting thing is that I had that when it came to the Yun 5
Mm,
when I was on KO's team. I had that with Yakun and the other player. Like it was
mm,
just Yakun who was like encouraging me because KO he stays quiet during tournaments. But he cheers on his teammates,
yeah,
but he stays focused, you know,
yeah.
like he stays focused. Um Sho and Yakun were the primary ones who were like okay, like because they were seeing me build meter and
Yeah,
they're like, oh shit, like okay,
yeah,
like that's good, and I'm like okay, I'm doing something right, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
But it's interesting to see that because they're like they tell you those small little details, but they can't necessarily tell you like okay, block here,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because they're speaking Japanese. It's a different different language, obviously, so
Mm-hmm.
that language barrier kind of was like an interesting aspect of it to have them give you like that sort of encouragement and then at the same time like cheer you on at the same time. So it was funny. But yeah, that's my thing.
Oh yeah. Can you guys hear my dog in the background or?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
A
love
little
that.
bit,
Love
yeah.
that.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
he's
Dog, you gotta
chilling.
chill. They'll be done in like 2 minutes. Yeah. So that actually reminds me. I was talking to Ben Carapalm once about tournament, and he was talking about there's scientific research. It basically says when we're in stressful situations, like our mind goes into tunnel vision, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is like from millions of years of evolution where like our caveman ancestors, like the best thing for them to do when they're in a dangerous situation is narrow your focus, only think about like one thing, I'm going to get the fuck out of here, and then execute it, right? And you can't think of anything else, and because you would die, right? Anyone who was thinking about fucking philosophy when there's
Mm-hmm.
a cheetah attacking is just dead, so they don't get to reproduce, right? This is if you believe in evolutionary
Science.
psychology. Yeah, so whatever. But so it's innate to us to like when we're nervous to just tunnel vision, and so that's where like sometimes your teammates telling you like like Ray mentioned, like back off, right? Like
Yeah.
you don't actually have to, you're really far ahead. You can just back off and build your last engine and then win, right? You don't have to go kill him right now, right? That can be helpful, but I think also it's like a mindset thing, or like I don't know, it's something to work on. I think it's just like okay, you have to like if you're gonna be nervous, then how can you like break yourself out of that tunnel vision habit? Or better yet, how do I not be nervous? Which I know that's what we've been talking about as
Yeah.
well. So
Yeah.
Well, I think
And
having that extra set of eyes, right, just to like look at the grand scheme of things, because like I don't know, sometimes when I'm playing, I get hyper focused on maybe one situation or one combo or something like that. Whereas like someone who's watching the entire match that's like chill, like take it easy, like you don't have to do that. Or I don't know, I'm really bad too. It's like if I drop something, I get like really focused on it. Like I gotta fucking throw this guy or something. Like, like just like something normal like that. Like, oh, like why didn't that work? I need this to work. So having someone like, no, you just chill, relax. Like you don't have to do that. Oh, okay, okay, my bad. I thought I had to do that. So, I don't know.
So I think one of the biggest things too is it has to be someone that you have confidence in yourself, like to give you that advice.
Mhm.
You know, if you have a random stranger, like if you have a random player saying, "Oh, block, dude," it's like, who the
Fuck
fuck are you?
you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. But then if you have someone like for me, if I had Frankie tell me, like, "Bro, block,"
Yeah.
I'll be like, "Okay, all right." I trust Frankie's judgment in that
Yeah.
regard to say, "Okay, you know what? He's right. I should block in this instance because it's one game, single game, single limb. I could lose, you know." So, um, I think that's another crucial thing is that you have to have like either a training partner or someone who you play with constantly, who
Mhm.
knows your match, who knows your gameplay to say, okay, like stop doing this, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that sort of really helps. And then I guess to try to take out the nerves, it's different for every person. Like I'm seeing some comments like from Joyous how like once a negative perspective comes into your mind, like you can't get it out. Like that's hard to do in general, you know? It's
Mhm.
like unless you're saying fuck you to the world or something like that, then you know it's hard to get out. You know, you either have to face it head on and say, okay, you know what? If maybe you go the Lance route. Maybe you say, you know, I'm still alive after this, right? Like I'm
I
like
won't die in real life.
I'm still or like you know I'm a grown ass man
Yeah.
like Ray says, you know, like both are true
Yeah.
because it is true. Like you know, what's the worst that's going to happen? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
the worst is that people perceive you as like a lesser player than what you are, but then you can establish that quickly,
Yeah.
you know?
Always another
So,
tournament. Yeah. Always
yeah,
more
there's always
games.
another tournament, always more games to play. So,
Yep. Awesome. Okay. Gonna run through a few more rapid fire questions. Those were not rapid fire. We gave very long answers.
sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. We're loving it. Yeah, I can
uh,
do this all night. So if these all take another 30 minutes, I'm good with it.
Okay.
Who is your third strike rival and why?
My third strike rival,
Yep.
Yuki.
Yuki. Okay, tell me why.
Um, because he beats the crap out of me in casuals every single time, but in tournaments I tend to get the best of him.
Mm-hmm.
But the most recent qualifier really showed me that he was able to adjust so quickly and in such a way that he was able to absorb everything that Yakun and Issei did against me
Mm-hmm.
to the point where he reset the bracket at the qualifier. I think what was it like 3-1, 3-0, something like that. I think it
something
was
Mm-hmm.
like that.
3-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 3-0. And that was the first time that I really felt like I could legitimately lose because of the other player. Not because I messed up or anything like that, or like I've had that against like Issei,
Mm.
um, I've had that against Steelhammer, you know, losses like that. But this type of tournament, like for the tournament, to lose 2 out of 3 or to lose 2 sets,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had that since my first tournament, my first major. So it sort of like brought back that traumatic feeling in a sense. So it was like thinking about that, I was like, man, he really brought that back for me. But then at the end of it, it really inspired me to play more. So I think when you find that player that inspires you to play, um, more afterwards, like no matter if you play casuals or if like, you know, you play in tournaments, whatever the case is, if you play that player in tournament and you know you enjoy it, I think that player can decisively be your rival. And that's how I always feel against, you know, a player like Yuki.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes Frankie when he's on his game. The thing with Frankie is that sometimes there's like a little inconsistency, but you know, the times when he has it on, he's beat me in the first Jazzy, you know? So it's like those are like the rivals that like constantly push me and say, you know what, damn, I need to practice, you know? But for the record, EXO will never be my rival.
I was wondering. I
No,
said Yuki. I said, "Wow, not Kang, huh?"
Yeah.
no.
No.
And the reason why I don't consider Kang my rival is not because of any shit talk or anything like that, but it's just in terms of game knowledge, in terms of overall the general aspect of the game. Personally, I feel like the knowledge that me and Yuki have, they're like right there. The execution that me and Yuki have, they're like right there.
Mhm.
Literally the only difference that separates us is like how we do in tournaments.
Sure.
You know, because with Yuki, it's like, for me, I'm more stern in tournaments. It's not like that for everyone else. But Yuki just has this thing where like if you catch him in a casual environment, he'll destroy you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's like,
I'm familiar.
yeah, well, of
Yeah,
course.
we know a thing or two about this.
So
Yeah.
so it's like I think about that and I'm like, man, I could upload videos of me losing to Yuki all the time, and I would love to watch that back and try to say, okay, how do I beat this?
Hmm.
You know? And that's a rival to me. That's someone who can push me and say, okay, I need to be better. So that's my answer.
Awesome.
That
Cool, cool,
set, by
cool.
the way, like one of the greatest pieces of American Third Strike history ever. By the way,
Yeah,
I was watching
I'm,
it in person, fully torqued, bro. Not gonna lie, fucking
yeah.
giant
You
chubby.
know,
I was like, holy fuck, this is what it's about. Okay, okay.
I always make the comparison between like Dragon Ball Z and like that match because
Yeah,
it was
Mm.
like the back and forth with it, the mind games, the execution, everything was there. Like he red parried my low forward slash and then he shouldered to
yeah,
punish
yeah. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
and he did it every single time. I'm like, fuck this guy,
Mhm.
man. No, but yeah, that's yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't say anyone else.
Yeah, no,
So
we were like recently, Ray and I were looking at like what are the best third strike matches, and like we were just looking at like the last 10 years because that's what I really like was here for.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
And to me, that's like the modern era. Not even 10 years. It's like Summer Jam 2015 onward. To me, is like the modern era of third strike in America. Like that's my how I chop it up. And, like what was the best matches of history? And yeah, that one was in the top three. Like I had like
yeah,
Issei, Yu
yeah.
Yuki. I think like I had like Mutant 5 star. Like to
Oh
me,
yeah,
those were
yeah,
all
yeah,
like
yeah.
really
Uh,
great matches. That were back and forth. Yeah, tense. Like yeah, great matches.
yeah.
Um, okay, this one's a fun one. Uh, who would win a tournament where each player can only play side characters?
It's a fucking Lance
uh,
question if I've ever heard it, dude.
no, this was actually a question that I came up with,
I
and
swear, it's Lance
and
trying to
and
legitimize his Yang.
so, but no, Lance, I don't think you would.
No, I don't think so
I
either.
don't think you would win a tournament with your Yang. You tried to play Yang at the Game of Dreams qualifier in casuals, and then somebody had to put a stop to you.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but then
I think I
yeah,
might make top eight, maybe. Yeah, top eight.
well, let's see.
Okay, let's go down the list.
Yi has
Envy.
Yi has Chun.
Yeah, yeah, he's got good sides.
Um, I guess he has a side Chun. Frankie has uh Frankie has a side Yun,
Hmm.
side Dudley. He has a side Chun too. Fucking Chun players. Um, let's see. Lance Yang, Yuki. Who would be Yuki's secondary? I think Yuki would win.
Yuki Ken,
Honestly,
I think.
That sounds possibly
that's
true.
not fair. Fuck. Because
Yeah.
yeah, his
Yeah,
his his Yun and his Ken are like the same level. They're like
yep.
really.
His Chun is stupid as well.
His chunk is better than mine. That's definitely true.
Very dumb Chun. Like, it's
Um,
disgusting.
my my Yun. No, Yuki would beat my Yun. With his Ken. Um, Ahmed. Ahmed had well. I think Ahmed Chan will beat both Frankie and Yeez. I don't know how he would do against Yuki's Ken. Um,
Not Ahmed,
Daisuke.
that's envy.
Oh,
Okay, Envy solved it then, yeah.
yeah. Daisuke Goki. I'm not sure why that came up before, but no, I don't think he would win against these guys. Uh, Neiman actually has good side characters too. I don't know if you
Sure.
guys seen him play his other characters, but he plays them in the same style, which makes it much more annoying.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. You can feel
yeah,
the Neiman gameplay through all of his characters.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I think definitively Yuki would win.
Okay.
No, there's
Yeah.
no doubt about it. Yeah.
Yuki. Haven't mentioned Kang. Does Kang make top 8 in this theoretical format?
Well, no, because his Kennen no, because his Kennen is young wouldn't beat Yuki.
Okay.
Oh, sure.
I mean it would probably beat because for me and him with our Yuns, like we go back and forth.
Hmm.
Um, so I think realistically, I think he would probably lose against Yuki's Ken. I mean, just imagine Yuki's Makoto. I mean, forget it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yuki's really great. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Your life is on the line, and you need one guy to play a first to one to save your life against who an alien that came down to play Third Strike. Who do you trust to save your life?
MOV.
Dog, please.
MOV.
Okay, you have to use an American. Okay. You
Oh,
have to use an American player.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, I have to use an American, not myself.
Not yourself.
You can't. No. Your life's on the line, but your hands are broken. You can't play.
You gotta
Maybe
rely on
someone else.
someone else.
First to one.
First to one.
Does he say American?
No, you cannot choose
I
Issei.
don't think you can pick Issei.
I'm making up rules as we go. You cannot choose a Japanese. You cannot choose MOV or Issei. That's what we got so far.
Versus an alien. First to one.
Yep. Yeah, Justin definitely American.
I mean, I guess that counts, but I'm not gonna pick Justin to
Sure.
save my life.
Justin might gamble your life just for the content.
Yeah,
right.
I guess he'll die. Thumbnail.
Sorry, bro, but this is gonna get me like 100,000 views on YouTube. So.
No, but it has to be an American player, so Nia Bum wouldn't count.
Yeah.
Man, that's actually a tough one.
Single game.
Yeah, single game. And this is for my life too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Versus an alien, and it's like, okay, who does the alien use?
Oh, I don't know. They're gonna random select.
Well, what the fuck? What if they pick Gil?
Okay, they can't pick Gil. I'm making a lot of stipulations for this question. It's like, okay, I understand. Your life's on the line. This is very important.
Okay, assuming that they pick Chun or Yun.
Okay, sure.
I'm leaning towards Ahmed.
Ahmed, okay, right. Interesting. Yeah. Tell me why.
Because when you play Ahmed in one game, it'll be all or nothing. Like it'll be really, really good. Like he'll save the planet kind of thing, okay. or we're doomed kind of thing. So, I would have said Yuki, but then obviously with jitters and everything for one game, it's hard to say.
You can make him hate you so that he wants you to die, and then he won't feel any jitters.
Yeah, but that's too much. That's too much work. It's like if you had to go in like as you are, I would say Ahmed one game.
Okay, nice. Okay, one last question. Will we see you at a future Cooperation Cup or Jazzy finale or both?
Undecided.
Okay.
Undecided for Co-op Cup and Jazzy. I need to see what the both what the format and the dates look like. Mm-hmm. But yeah, undecided. So.
Okay. Cool.
I would enjoy. I would enjoy going to the next Jazzy though.
Yeah, I always have a good time. It's good. For me, it's like of course I like competing, but as I get older, I'm less invested in competition. Though I say that, but each weekend, like when we're there, I'm suddenly like, oh, I want to come back next year and win, right? Yeah. Then you go back home and you're like, okay, I don't really care that much, right? But just from the community aspect, just seeing everyone again, to me is it's like the best part of the year each year to see everyone. So yeah, just from that aspect alone, and of course we all love playing the game, and of course we love to compete. Put all the things together. Yeah, I'm going to try to make every Jazzy, even if I start practicing less, which I'm kind of, yeah. Cool. That's all my questions. Ray, did you have any questions?
Not so much a question, but I want to tell a story real fast. So Jazzy 3, I think it was the one at Free Play, right? So after the tournament, they were supposed to do like a Ken Yun exhibition, right? Like so.
I know the story.
And then it was supposed to be Nika, Yuki, and I think Issei on one side, and then Yi, Frankie, and I think maybe Ahmed on the other team, right? So Yuki disappears, just fucking disappears completely. So I think Katie or something was like, "Hey, do you want to play on like Team Yun?" And I guess, man. Like, I don't know. Like, don't tell people I'm subbing in for Yuki. That's like embarrassing, you know. So, I walk up and I'm like, okay, well, like Nika and like Issei are gonna put me first, right? Cause like, who the fuck am I? Like, there's no reason for me to be anchor ever. And I go up to Nika because Nika's sitting down. I'm like, hey, I'm like on Team Yun. And you like look up at me and you're like, do you play this character? And I'm like, I guess not. Like, so I just left. I just dipped.
I don't remember that, honestly.
Like, you were sitting down ready to play. Like, I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be playing like on Team Yun, and you're just like, do you play this character? I'm like,
oh shit, I had no
idea. No, I guess I don't. So, but fun stuff.
Oops. Well, I know now. I think that was one of those things that I was like, okay, I really want to get this over with.
Yeah. The exhibitions after the tournament is always rough. It's like very rough. Everyone's exhausted, tired. Yeah, very difficult. But yeah, that's all I got.
Cool. Okay, well that's it. Any closing thoughts, Nica? Any last words you want to leave us with?
Look forward to, just a shameless plug here, but look forward to my channel. I intend on uploading more content soon. More so regarding tournament mindsets and things regarding player wise, not necessarily third strike wise. Just something that I'm trying to broach in terms of content. So be on the lookout for that if you haven't checked it out already. So
what's your YouTube and what's your Twitter for them to look out?
My Twitter is Nica &Co, and my YouTube is SF3LP.
Cool. All right.
Awesome.
But yeah, I do want to appreciate you guys for having me on. It was really fun talking to you guys again. And
yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully I make it out to Dallas another time and we can inspire Yuki to play.
Yeah, just hit me up anytime you're in town. So
yeah, I appreciate it, guys, and thanks everyone for tuning in. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll probably have another one, assuming that we can bring ourselves to do it.
Yeah, fun. All right. Well, later, boys.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.